Welcome back to No Cap SEC. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, especially in the SEC, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of No Cap SEC. Folks, we have a few good guests coming in tonight, starting off with our boy at Fan Addict Sports, Coach I. What's up there, Coach I? How we doing?
What's going on, man?
Nada, man. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Also coming into the stage from Unfair Sports, Jay Smith. What's up, Jay?
What it do?
How you boys doing tonight?
Oh, man, you know, ready for some football as always. But you know, we got 100 days officially. 100 days.
Roughly. Yeah. Can we hurry up and get here? I mean,
if you count week 0, then I guess you got less.
That's true. Yeah. What gives us football? Something to watch, right? Something to at least talk about.
It's Georgia Tech, so I don't know if it's real football.
I mean, fair, touche. Triple option, baby.
Coming from a Georgia fan, it didn't surprise me that other part was added at the back of there. So good stuff. Yeah, man, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're actually going to get into talking a little bit about, just wanted to get you guys' opinions a little bit about what's going on down there at Florida. But to start off with, I guess we really should probably jump into breaking news out of there. NCAA and the power conferences approving a settlement that makes ways for players to be directly paid through revenue sharing model. According to what we're seeing here, $2.7 billion from the NCAA to former Division I athletes. That's going to be paid out over about a 10-year stretch. And then the program could start as potentially as soon as next year, according to what we're seeing here on The Athletic. 22% of those schools' average annual revenue, or roughly $20 million, would be distributed directly to the athletes. I guess first question I would have, and it's kind of what we were talking about in the green room there just a second ago, guys, was what are the changes you see coming from this? Does this fix transfer portal whatsoever? Does this fix your NIL not being what it's for kind of stuff, or does it stay the same? Coach I, what do you think?
Well, you know, I've always said for the NIL, when it was first, it took the court or whatever for it by the O'Bannon brother or whatever, it was supposed to be twofold, in my opinion. They should be able to freely make money off of their name, image, and likeness, and they also should have a part of the money that they, generate for their school. They got the first part, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what was going to happen after that, because I was like, these schools ain't ready to share their money, you know what I'm saying? But sounds like the NCAA just said you do have to share some of it. So I don't know if it's going to correct it. I think it'll maybe move it in the right direction. Like we was talking about in the green room, I think the problem with the whole NIL and money and all that has always been the collectives for me. It's just, they're just there, like I say, if you come out of school and some company wants to give you money, they talk to your agent and give you money, I'm cool with that. But that just the collectives just, asking people for money, and like we ain't paying $200 for the football ticket already, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, prices are up on tickets, prices are up in the concession.
Right. So, and like we said, I don't know, I hope it moves the needle to stopping unlimited transfers, but I don't know. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like Coach I said. I mean, the key thing on this is that these players have been playing for years, and every year the media rights go up, right? The value goes up, the salaries for coaches. To me, I was in the party of, they're getting a scholarship, they should be good back like 15 years ago. But when we start seeing coaches making $8, $9, $10, $11 million a year, being the highest paid public employee in each state, at that point, that it started to get ridiculous, right? Money's going to administration, it's going to the coaches, it's going to everything else around them besides the people actually physically on the field. Now, granted, I know a lot of people disagree with that notion, but I also like to remind people, when you're playing football, depending on the position you're playing, for the most part, you're going between 10 and 40 car accidents, small car accidents, all game long. You turn your body up, right? Go ask a former player, man. Most former players will tell you, man, they got aches and pains. They played it because they were good at it, and so they took advantage of their skill set, just like any of us would take advantage of doing music or anything else. So, to me, that check should have been written years ago, but it's okay. At this point, now, I like the fact that they have the opportunity to make money and be able to split the revenue, right? Because it ain't going to hurt the fans in this situation. You know who it hurts? The people up top making all the money. They just have to share. And I know they hate sharing. That has always been the thing we know they hate. Anybody at the top hate to share, right? They don't like getting passed down to the little people. Got to start doing that now, right? Write them checks, let the players make their money, and then, as Coach I mentioned, let the NIL stuff actually be like NIL. Let's get some State Farm commercials, Boost Mobile, whatever. I mean, the collectives, they're not even Mint Mobile, just Mint Mobile. Let's get all of that, right? We got a sponsorship here. Get 3 months free. Check it out. Try Mint Mobile. .com/HOF, right? We're gonna go ahead and throw the ad in this bad boy, right? Just do that. Let Mint Mobile go ahead and sponsor you. We can't do prize picks. We don't need to be doing gambling, but I digress. Let's go ahead and make the local barbecue shop sponsor the entire offensive line. That's some cool stuff, right?
Right.
We need to get back to the whole purpose of NIL, and I'm hoping we get to that.
Right.
We got to welcome into the show two more of our favorite peeps in here. Brenski Sharpe from the Sharpe Shooter Podcast. And man, looky there, there's Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports. It's almost like I haven't seen you in a few days anyway, but on this show, it's been a while. On this show, it's been a while. What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Hey, I'm going to hop right back in here. I'm on a different StreamYard account because I'm everywhere and anywhere in between. I'm going to hop on my StreamYard account. That way I can get this over to my audience as well. We can get a bunch of people in here.
Sounds good. Brenski, what's up, my man?
What's going on, man? It felt like I haven't been on here with y'all in forever.
Not since you slept, not since you fell asleep, man. So, yeah.
I was watching that show.
On, but, it is what it is. He's
man.
blowing it up.
I've been high.
CPAP Sharpe.
I've been hiding, man.
The level of disrespect.
Sleepy Floyd over here.
Sleepy Floyd got him for it, man.
Well, you're gonna try to tell me to come up and everything, man. And then I was like, I'll come up there. And then trying to tell me to camera, I'm like, man, I'm laying down.
Got that, man.
I should have got off 15 minutes earlier, man.
Said that man was snoring.
Man.
Guys, the one thing I was going to say real quick, and we kind of talking about this settlement that just happened there, Brenski. But when we're talking about this money, obviously they didn't want to give it up, Jay, to kind of talk to your point. But this actually, I've heard stuff out there about 50%, going 50-50 with the players. So that could have ended up being what it was as well. They honestly, they probably ended up better off than what the schools and everybody could have been, because 22%, the athletes are the ones generating all the money. So it is what it is, but 22% isn't, it's not even half of 50%. So, it could have been better. It could have been even more for them. But for you guys that just jumped in, obviously the new settlement there, 10 years, $2.7 billion for the former players, 22% of revenue going to the players now. Ty, what does this change, if anything, in your mind about college football?
Oh, it changes a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. Because throughout the past few months, one of the biggest crossroads college football has faced, James, you're 100% right. It was my OnlyFans one, so we had to get back onto the regular ones. That way my people over on OnlyFans weren't confused, right? They're used to a different type of content. And listen, I'm nothing if not consistent. But Speaking about this, gentlemen, one of the things that we've noticed that college football has run into, and this actually dates back all the way to the NCAA case I always talk about, Alston versus NCAA, where Justice Kavanaugh blew the roof off of this. It's the NCAA not being able to pass legal muster whenever we talk about the antitrust portion or lack thereof of the NCAA, right? And so one of the things that I'm so intrigued about, and one of the reasons why I had been saying for weeks that, yes, House was on the docket for 2025, it wasn't going to make it there. The NCAA was always going to settle. It's the difference of paying $6 billion as opposed to $3 billion. Both's a lot of money. $6 billion's a lot more. But what it does for the future of college football is it helps the NCAA be able to be legal in terms of a judicial stance from an antitrust structure. What that means is now that the NCAA, once they pass that, they can put in regulations. You remember back in January, the NCAA tried to reenact the one-time transfer rule. Well, the reason it didn't work is because a West Virginia judge put in a temporary injunction only for 14 days, citing the lack of antitrust legality by the NCAA, and the NCAA bowed out because they knew they didn't want the smoke. They've got 4 other cases on the docket for 2025. Johnson's one, and I forget the other 3 cases. But this is the only way, guys, and I know it's a roundabout way, we are going to be able to get any sort of consistency or structure back in college football is if the NCAA can pass legal muster from an antitrust structure, then they can have regulations on transfer portal and having NIL be NIL.
Yeah. That was one of the questions we just asked, a few minutes ago, was that, is that going to change the way the NIL is? Are they going to get rid of the collectives? Because that would probably be the only way that you see kind of a stop to the under table, or overbidding on certain guys, which is, cheating stuff, the same stuff that you already have. I don't know that this ends it. I think obviously in the end, we're going to wait and see what happens over the coming days and weeks. I would think, headed into this, they're talking about it could be started as early as 2025. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will be, or I guess 2024. It says next year, so I guess we'd have to wait and see what it is. But welcome in Chris from that Horns Down podcast into the show as well. Thanks for coming in, bro.
The silent treatment, I like it.
The silent treatment. Don't say shit.
Like Mike Tyson walking in with no music. What's going on?
You just walk in, man. Say, hey, we just going, right?
No, but on the real, like, can you imagine being in a boxing ring and they don't even choose walkout music? I'd be questioning every decision.
I'd walk out. I'd leave.
But like,
I'd leave. I'd be like that one boxer, just take my gloves off, throw them in the middle, and just kind of just walk out. Like, nah, you ain't coming out here with no music on. You're not doing me like that. No.
I'm gonna end up on the wrong side of a highlight reel.
Be like Clubber Lang in Rocky 3.
Rocky 3, yeah.
Yo.
Before we move on, Jason, so you said there was money set aside just for former players in this new deal, right?
That's the 2.7 billion. That's the 2.7.
I wonder how far back they're gonna go.
2016.
2016. Hold on, let's see.
Not even 10 years.
My nephew get a little money. Hey, nephew, I need some. Hey, I need.
Yeah.
So how many? I wonder how many players are we talking about? Then is that?
That's a lot of people.
Because that's what I'm saying. That's, you're talking about 8 years worth of players that didn't, or I guess not 8 years. It'd be 6 years worth of players because you've basically had this going for a couple of years, 5 or 6 years worth of players.
They're going to get a couple hundred.
Yeah, a couple $100. Yeah,
anything better than that.
Might be able to go buy some Taco Bell with it.
They'll have enough to go buy a new PS5 and a new college football game with it.
Oh, there it is. Get EA Sports to pay them, I guess. But what are you thinking about this there? Okay, Chris, you got any thoughts about the new settlement there?
Well, I think that it's monumental for one party or one party only. That's the NCAA. Because why? Because they're finally cleaning up all the knee-jerk reactions that Ty and I have talked about. Other than that, Oh, my fault. My mic right here, but my fault. But what I'm trying to say is this right here is that the only winner in this is really the NCAA. It's nobody else. NCAA is the true beneficiary because they're literally getting a couple of monkeys off their back right now. They still got a couple on. I got a big one on their back. I got a gorilla on their back. Why? Because these super conferences are still looming, and we don't know what that's going to look like. NIL, to be honest with you guys. In the grand scheme of things, that is just a small pebble out there. That's a small comment right there. We ain't talking about Haley's coming with this one. We ain't talking about one that can end the world. We just talking about a little small speck now. But I mean, at the end of the day, the NCAA got to be happy right now because they got to settle a case instead of having to really go through the rigors of that, and because they would have got drugged through the mud. And I guarantee you the two guys in the middle right here would have been all over that.
Now, this comment here from Lance Hunter, NCAA is litigated out of a job. I don't think so. I think they just litigated themselves right into the job again, because in order for them to pay out from the NCAA, and they're the ones named in this, they got to still be around in 10 years because it's 10 years worth of payments. So I don't know that this is guaranteed that that's how it's going to be, but something as at the moment, it would look like the NCAA is still in charge of college football.
Well, I mean, the thing you got to think about is that there's so many people that make up the NCAA. I mean, there are crap ton of attorneys, there are a crap ton of coaches on boards, there's crap ton of boards, there's crap ton of people who just literally run the NCAA. So, I mean, I don't know if I got any Star Wars geeks out here, but it literally is the evil empire. I mean, that's really what it is. So I mean, it's on, and that's why I keep saying, hint, super conferences. It's going to take something really major to devour the NCAA. Now, is the NCAA still around? Are they still breathing? Yes, but they're on an iron lung. I mean, let's just be real. Yeah.
And even add to that, the biggest problem I'm seeing with this, if there's an issue with this, right, is that this is probably going to lead into a bunch of private equity jumping into college sports.
Yes.
That's right there will be the end of the college game, because PE firms, their whole job is to get in there, make whatever money they can. If they can't, strip it down to the bare bones and then sell. They're not here to take care of the institutions. Now, if they decide to make this into more of a private public type setup, the only solution here truly is that all these teams lease the names, lease the jersey colors, all of that stuff, lease it from the schools. Then from those profits, they can leverage that to keep the other sports afloat, right? That'll be your only way that you're truly going to keep the rest of them afloat. Because at this point, like I said, man, people at the top mad, they got to share the money now. And they got to actually open up the books. They got to share, and it's going to suck.
But again, they don't have to share as much as what they were talking about. They were talking about 50 to 60%. I've seen numbers as high as that. So 22% is
sharing $1 hurts, man. They got mouths to feed.
They do hate to. They don't like to share it all.
Right.
You're right.
They got gas to get. Have you not seen the price of mangoes?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You tripping, dog.
But Jay, you make an interesting point, right? Because I'm going to relate this to something that actually happened to an American food icon. Maybe not for good reasons, but an American food icon, Red Lobster. Did y'all hear about what happened with Red Lobster when it came to the hedge funds, where the hedge funds got in there? Like Jay said, the private equity firms, right? Not the same, but very analogous, right?
No, that's what they do.
I don't know that it was a private equity firm that did it, but I do know that it was like the same sort of MO that you're talking about, that private equity. They bought all the physical land that Red Lobsters were on, and then charged Red Lobster rent on the land, and then jacked the prices up. And basically, that's why so many Red Lobsters are going out of business, right? It's that same sort of theory that you're talking about. And it's fascinating. And listen, this could be a very positive thing if we had any faith that the NCAA was competent. Right. Like there are avenues to where this could be like, okay, now we can pass antitrust legal muster. We can start moving forward. We can model somewhat after the NFL, but they're incompetent. They allowed it to get here. They could have fixed this a decade ago, but here we are.
Yeah, as far as is this final or is this more cases that got to go through? There's still cases out there, I know for sure.
Yeah.
This is just very preliminary information what we got right now. Honestly, it's a topic for another show. I was going to have it kind of lead us into the next topic, and I only really want to talk about this for a couple of seconds, really, but talking. I don't know where this ends up, having anything to do with it either. But in the case of Jaden Rashada, Billy Napier, and boosters and such, does this kind of stop any of that? I don't know that it does, because unless they get rid of the NIL stuff, which it doesn't appear that they're going to do that, you're probably not going to see a ton of that. But I just kind of want to get you guys' initial feelings about that. You've got, I guess where I was at with it is, it's amazing to me kind of the self-righteousness of any program and their fans when it comes to NIL. And now, of course, you have revenue share about paying these players, especially when it's legal to pay these players. But yeah, anytime some of this kind of stuff pops up, you've got this. Right now, I had some of our good friends on the other night really, really pissed off about the fact that we were even bringing it up about the lawsuit for Billy Napier.
Hey, shout out to Kirby Smart for going ahead and get that man a green light.
Oh,
Green light from Kirby Smart.
shout out to Kirby Smart doing that to his rival. I love it. That to me is the pettiness of college football. Coach, I got to hear from you on this. You got to start us off. Talk to us about Kirby Smart, his thoughts on going after his
They said they went to him to get his blessing.
Man.
Exactly,
man.
It's crazy how Florida fans legit think Kirby is the mastermind. I'm like, boy, Kirby, y'all scared of Kirby for sure, dog. For real. It's crazy, man. Jaden Rashada been working on this for over a year, man. His lawyers and stuff had to get some things together, had some bigger cases come up. At the end of the day, as far as Jaden Rashada getting any money, he's got to have some proof. I don't know. I heard some phone calls that his dad allegedly recorded, things of that nature. I don't think it'll be a distraction in Athens. I think it's going to be a distraction in Gainesville, though, for sure.
I don't know. You know what? I'll as the attorney on the panel tonight, let me go ahead and break this down. Let me go see what's going on with this. I was thinking about this.
Real quick. And see, okay, while you're doing that, Chris, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is something I was thinking about when it first came out, and we was talking about, how he's suing for $9.5 million because he's saying that's how much he missed out on from Miami because he decided to go to Florida. So, just in my logical sense, I'm thinking, unless you can prove that Miami was actually going to give you $9.5 million, how are you going to get $9.5 million?
No, look, and I'll say this, Jason, if you share the screen real quick, this is just very general. This is just kind of like, as they're saying at this place that I'm at now, high level, right? So basically, all I'm trying to show y'all is just these factors here. Is just to say this literally.
Yeah, blow it up a little bit.
Keep zooming that in.
Oh, am I keep zooming in?
Yeah,
keep zooming.
Going.
All right, tell me what's
bigger.
Right there.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So for the people out there who don't understand, he has to prove all four of these. This is a factor test. So the difference between everything, because he's bringing up defrauding, he's bringing up things like that. This is serious allegations, folks. So there's a couple of things that's happening. So first off, was there a contract signed? You could say it was his letter of intent, but I don't think that his letter of intent had any of the terms for his NIL deal in it. Well, if he's calling them frauds and saying that they're doing fraud, then there you go. Here are the four factors for Florida, right? This is their state factors. He's going to have to show everything. And I think the most important one is that he's going to have to show that Billy Napier had knowledge that the statement is false, right? So I don't know if he's going to actually have that because I don't know if there's a real paper trail out there.
If my fault.
No, I was going to say, what going to your point, Coach, I would say this right here. The biggest thing is that kind of falls in the line of mitigation. So let me back up real quick. So one issue, on one hand, you have contracts, right? If he made a contract and he signed a contract with that collective or whatever, that's where he's probably going to get his most money. It's probably where he's going to have his best argument. His weaker argument would be to go after this whole fraud side of it, because there's no telling, and there's no way that you can sit there and legitimately say. You could say objectively thinking, you could say objectively, it looks like Billy Napier and company were going to have this money. Subjectively, we don't know what they were thinking. We don't know if they had this meeting of the minds and all the rest of that. So the contract is his best argument. Fraud, I wouldn't go that route.
I don't know. I think he did go fraud though, okay, Chris, because he's not suing them over breach of contract for the contract that he's got. He's suing them for fraud for taking him away from the contract he supposedly had.
I get that. And now this leads to my next point. His biggest burden, honestly, the only thing that he really can really prove and lean on is what you would call mitigation. Did he mitigate his damages? Meaning, when he went to Arizona State, he lost out on $9 million from
Miami,
yeah, right?
Allegedly.
He went out there to Arizona. Did he take a true loss? Regardless, he still had to mitigate his damages, meaning he had to go find the best deal, best fit for him. So he's going to be able to lean on those two as far as if there was an actual contract that was signed with anybody, not just a letter of intent, a contract that was signed that fleshed out any type of terms for the NIL money that he would get. And then also the fact that he had to go mitigate his damages. I'll give you a clear example. If I say, hey, Jay, build me a website that's going to make my channel just explode all over YouTube and everywhere else, right? And Jay, let's say Jay signs the agreement, everything, we got a contract, blah, blah, blah. After that, let's say that Jay fails to do anything for like 6 weeks, and I'm losing money because I have sponsors, I have everything set up. So I have to go and call Ty and say, hey, Ty, will you build this for me? I have to pay Ty an extra $2,000, meaning that I'm Jaden Rashada having to travel. Because where's Jaden Rashada from?
He's from Northern California or Washington, I think.
Out west. I just know it's out west.
So he's Washington. He's saying, hey, I already had everything. I booked the flight. I was already en route. I had to do all these things. So I had to pay extra money to get to where I was going, right? So those are going to be really the two biggest things in his case that he can really lean upon. But when I saw the word the fraud and all the rest of it, I was like, that's a whole nother lane that you're going through. But if you're talking about mitigating your damages and money you lost out on, any type of like kind of, I guess you could say just like it's remedial laws, like remedies, right? So the thing is that he has a strong case. I think there will be money exchange simply because I think the way it looks in the court of public opinion, I think that you could literally go in there and say public policy, which just basically means that, hey, this wasn't fair. This wasn't right from the inception. You guys promised him something. You guys came to an agreement. This is what was said. He flipped, went to you, committed to you. You didn't hold good on your deal, yada, yada, yada.
Right. And he had to pay $150,000 to get out of his deal with the Miami collective.
Exactly. And I don't know all the details, people, but I'm just telling you, just kind of from just first blush, first impression, looking at it, that's really your facts. If he really wants to have an argument and get money, lean on the contract, lean on the whole mitigation thing, because those things factually happen. Did they promise that they were going to pay
your hand up for a while there? Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, go ahead. Ty.
So as Chris's official legal assistant and paralegal, because I'm not a lawyer, but and I saw AWAT saying Chris is our resident attorney, right? So great to have him on the panel, especially for this. But one thing that instantly comes to my mind, and Adam Lamparello in the chat was talking about it, and Chris, you hinted at it, but ladies and gentlemen, intent is, and Chris, you can speak to this in a bit, is awful to prove, especially if it's just he said, she said.
He said, yeah.
That's
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
2, this is where it gets hard, man. Today, John Ruiz and Life Wallet, who are really the head of this Miami NIL fund. I don't know if that's a slightly reductionist statement, right? I don't know that they're literally the head of it, but major players have denied any sort of $9.5 million deal to Rashada.
That's what my thing was.
If they've denied it, this case just got real tough. to prove, and that's really where I wanted to jump in.
If you don't use if Florida didn't leave a paper trail, I was just gonna say if Florida didn't leave a paper trail, that's what's gonna make it so tough. There's two big takeaways to get to take away from this. First off, as my aunt put it when we talked about it, this hopefully stops coaches from doing this type of stuff, right? From doing this shit in general.
Yeah.
Second off, like I said, I think I said it in one of our chats, it scares the hell out of me. Why? Simply because I think this is one of those floodgate cases to where it can open up so much litigation out there.
Good point.
Because there's going to be a lot of players who can say the same thing, especially those Texas A&M players. I think that if Evan Stewart was smart, wink, wink, be watching this case because you could probably get some money because Jimbo screwed y'all boys down there.
Well, and this goes back to what Coach I was saying when we first started, right? That kind of gets to where the collectives now, in a way, we can try to slowly eliminate them or get them to at least, honor the deals that they're creating. Now, the biggest problem I run into this with the Rashada piece is, actually, not really a problem. This is the question I have for them. I don't think anybody here on the panel can answer it. Why bring up this lawsuit unless you do have all of these details and
That's
all
what
of
I
this
think.
evidence
They haven't got to discovery yet. I think
they have got to have something.
They have
doing
texts,
this because
but
it's not like the feds. Where typically with the feds, they coming at you the moment they have everything for the most part nailed down. If this is one of them situations where they're just out here just throwing stuff against, shit against the wall just to see what happens.
To get a settlement.
Why are we here?
Well,
I'm thinking they got something, though.
They could, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you also bring accusations so that you get to the part where you can get discovery because you're thinking in discovery you're going to get some of the stuff that you need.
And because of the law, they can go and start requesting like what was it? I can't think of the name of the act with it, but where you can request like public records, right? Because they're all government employees, so it's not like they can hide. If they've got they probably got an email trail that went through their public email or their phone, get phone seized and stuff, and start going through some messages. Could get hairy.
I don't even see this even going as far as folks think it's going to go. It's definitely going to get settled out of court.
Yeah, it will.
You know what?
It may be the goal. Sure. That might be the goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything on it. If they have anything, it gets settled because the second that it gets to that discovery that you're talking about, that's when you know if Billy's in trouble or not. To me, the problem for Billy is if there is any kind of proof there, now that makes this season even more important because I don't think Florida gives a shit right now. But if you win 4 games, then now they get to fire you with cause and not pay you on your buyout, probably, right? So that's kind of where I'm at, on that end of it. But I think that obviously you're probably there trying to get some kind of a settlement. I mean, the one thing that I heard earlier today, and it was from last night, but the high top guys had an attorney. And of course, he was a Florida attorney, or he went to Florida. He's a California attorney, but they were talking about Florida having that you can't have phone calls recorded unless both people consent. Unless both people consent. But if he was in Washington or California
or Texas
or South Carolina or most states,
does that change that? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Most states it's just one party consent.
Yeah, but unless it's a video. Let's be real, people. Let's be real. It depends on the judge. Let's just be real.
Right.
It depends on the judge.
Right.
Some judge may say, "Hey, that is outstanding evidence that we need to be able to put all the blocks together to build what we're trying to build." But right. Jason, I would say I think Brenski hit on it. But basically, he made me think of this. At least this goes back to your original question. That whole lawsuit that was just settled by NCAA, it does affect this case. Why? Because now, and I'm not sure. People I haven't kept up with all the details. I don't know if he's suing the University of Florida as well. But if he is, or if he joins them as a third party on this, there you go. Now. Napier and everybody else can't say, "Oh, we don't really have that money" or whatnot. Now you can just say no to school. So it kind of helps out that the school can pay stuff directly like this, which they could anyways. It's a civil suit. It's not anything NIL related.
Right.
Regardless, though, that just further enforces the fact that, hey, they have all the power to go and settle this case. I think that if I'm Rashada and if I'm Rashada's camp, I'm trying to settle this as far as I can. First off, I'm trying to make it as messy as possible. I'm talking about, hey, man, he brought me a Chick-fil-A sack full of $1,000 and stuff like that. He said, hey.
No, do McDonald's. Chick-fil-A is far too classy.
He brought me a White Castle sack. I ain't even got White Castle.
Burger King.
You know what I'm saying? He said, me and Jake used a private. I'm doing everything. We used a private jet, all of that. I'm making it as messy as possible. But at the end of the day, that university has more money than what you have right now. So I would not try to go and fight it out with what I have versus what that university has that has more than just football money. They got research money too.
The one thing about that though, Chris, is that there is a law in the state that you can't, there's a limit to the amount of damages. That's why they haven't named the actual university in the suit.
I got you.
Because there's some kind of a law that only allows for less than what he's apparently going for.
I'm not worried, but yeah, that's the part of settling right for it. Because look, the thing is that you going up there saying, yeah, I want $9.5 million, but if they give me $3.5 million, if I settle for $3.5 million, I'm still up. I have nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Until you pay your attorney, which is Rusty Harden, and taxes.
They're giving me my money, whatever I'm selling for. They're going to pay my attorney's fees, all of that. No.
And I looked it up, guys. California is a two-party consent state. So he better hope that that everything was recorded when he wasn't in California, right? I don't know.
Right.
But California is a two-party consent state.
It looks tough any way you look at it, I think. But as far as all that goes, but again, the one thing I'll say is that maybe this new settlement and everything, and them having this proposal, because I don't want to stay on this for very long. Hopefully, this keeps this kind of shit from going on all the time. Because this is stuff that, man, we just want to see football. Just like Coach had in there, nobody gives a shit. Let's watch football. Hey, but we're not
probably a deterrent, like a nuclear deterrent, basically. Yeah, it's the whole goal is to make sure that nobody has anything this stupid again. Mm-hmm. Well, like offer a kid $13 million or $9 million,
which that was the stupid
$4
part.
million.
Like, why go there? Why go there and offer that kind of money? Which they clearly offered it. That you can sit there and say that Billy didn't have anything to do with it, and that's remains to be seen. There's no text messages with his name on it. If they did have a recording like they're talking about or whatever, and I don't know that they do because that wasn't in the lawsuit either. But if they did, and they did it the right way or whatever, even then, I think it's still tough to tell. But the one thing is that, hey, guys, what I would want to know is that this is not going to continue happening, or that you don't have to keep going into this position and put yourself in this kind of position. This is where I feel like you should be able to put the right kind of parameters around this to stop all this craziness that's going on. Not that I think it really will, but I'd love to see that be kind of the result of all this. Everybody's kind of protected, not just the schools, the player, everybody else. Because I think that Jaden Rashada is getting a terrible reputation from this, and I don't know that it's his fault.
And he's not all the way innocent in this now.
He's not all the way innocent.
I said but it's also he's not all the way at fault either, Brenski. And a lot of people,
I'm with you on that part. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But I ain't giving him no pass.
Yeah, last thing I'll say on this is, Chris, looking at those 4 factors of fraud in the state of Florida, if you have to pass all 4, like, okay, you might be able to pass prong 1 fairly easily, right? A false statement. Cool. Yeah. You might be able to, but knowingly, like, you would have to then prove that they were communicating knowingly making these false statements and then the intent. I'm sorry, Rashada. I don't see you passing those 2 prongs, mainly because that's a tough cookie to crack.
Yeah. That's why I said fraud is no. It's the thing about what is your strongest arguments and what are your weaker arguments. Like if you're going to go to trial on this and you got 6 issues, you need to limit those to 2 to 3. Why? because you need to focus on your stronger arguments. Obviously, the money is involved in there, and then 2, Judge don't want to listen to all of that. Judge want to know exactly what's going down. We try to get in here and out of here. We're not trying to be here all day.
I got dinner. I got dinner on the stove. We need to go ahead and get this. Wrap this bad boy up. Wrap it up, B.
Exactly.
All right. Next thing on the agenda here, let's talk a little bit. Let's get out of this whole situation. I don't even want to talk about it anymore anyway, but let's talk a little bit about transfers in the portal, in the SEC. Who are some of your top transfers and that you feel like is going to make the biggest impacts around the SEC? You got a lot of guys that have changed places over since the end of the season. You know, Florida guy Trevor Etienne, running back at Georgia. You've got, obviously, you know, us Oklahoma fans are really happy about Deion Burks and Dominic Williams and guys like that. Tell me who you like the most coming out. Coach, I start with you.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna go a little different. I want to say it's biggest impact, but it's who left. I think Caleb Downs leaving Alabama. Alabama's gonna always have a good defense, but I think the elite of the elite defenses, I think when you got a Caleb Downs, you can do that. But like him leaving, and I know Peyton Warrior didn't play or whatever, but he was a depth piece. I think those 2 guys are, well, especially Caleb. I think he's a bigger impact than somebody actually coming in because of how good Caleb Downs was.
That's a nice point. That's a solid point there. Anybody from that Alabama side want to take on that conversation there real quick there? Brenski Sharpe? You're muted.
I got past this Caleb Downs talk in January. I was sad. So don't remind me how sad I was. So
I think they still got players, but you know, I mean, we all know Caleb is a one of one.
He's an All-American. Yeah, he's an All-American.
You know, like, you know, that's like if we lost Malachi. It's like, yeah, we got some guys, but they ain't Malachi.
And just like I said, man, I don't want to be reminded.
No arguments for me. I think DeBoer did a great job. When you look in the transfer portal at safeties, they got 2 of the top 5 safeties in the nation, and King Mack and Keon Sabb. Keon Sabb graded really high. I think Caleb Downs graded as an 87.8. Keon Sabb was like an 85.2. But Coach, you're right. I mean, there's no arguments for me. Losing Caleb Downs, that we throw around generational a lot, probably far too much. And I think it's us being fans, right? Like it's just us being excited for talented players at our institutions or others. But that's a big loss. No doubt about that.
And thank God he didn't go to Georgia. That was the most scariest thing.
That was what I said too.
That was it. All the signs were leading up to
like having
Georgia.
a cheat code to all the games.
Man.
I am so glad that Kirby burned that bridge with the Downs family.
Starks and Caleb Downs, that would have been like Sean Taylor and Ed Reed in the back.
It'd have been messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Right. I think that guy that you guys got from TCU coming in though is Oklahoma is gonna help the
Dominic.
Dominic. What was his last
Williams.
name? Williams. Yeah.
Good pickup.
If nothing else, it's like that's super depth. It's not just having bodies. When we talk about depth, we don't just want to have bodies because everybody's got bodies to put on the field. We want bodies that's gonna actually, you know, make some impact when they're out on the field. So I think that was a big pickup.
Yeah, he's a freshman All-American, a guy that played in the national championship as a freshman, was an All-American for a freshman guy. You know, he's definitely, for everything that everybody says, you know, LSU was in it, Texas was in it, Missouri was in it at the end. He went to all those places. I know USC was throwing some money around at the end too, trying to get
how they do.
You know, that definitely. And so look, to me, I don't think that there's any doubt that was a huge pickup. And I think for us Oklahoma guys, and I'll let Jay and K Chris kind of chime in on this as well. But to us, I feel like we were there depth-wise, you know, pretty much, but it wasn't depth that had a lot of experience. So you were going to have to kind of depend more on Jaden Jackson, David Stone, possibly Nigel Smith, some of these other guys that you've got in that class, but which I think you're still going to get a lot of stuff out of them. But this allows you to bring them along and they don't have to be All-Americans right off the bat. They can come in and get, they're definitely going to be able to develop and not have to play 500 snaps or whatever as you go along.
Right.
To me,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, Coach I, you made probably one of the best points about this that a lot of people fully overlook. You don't want just bodies because everybody's got them. Everybody's talking mad noise about LSU right now because they ain't got no defensive line depth. Dog, they got like 7 dudes over 300 pounds on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. They got guys, but obviously they not it yet, right? We don't know what they are. They're not proven. And so just as you said, it's the best statement, and I think that's what made me excited about Dominic is that we've seen him actually play against people, and we've seen the results. And so it's like, okay, this will be a help in the plugging of actual depth while we build up the bodies we have to make them into depth, right? So
you had one of the offensive linemen from last year that was talking about what a pain in the ass it was to block him.
Exactly. Right? And so I got one on offense and defense I want to point out. First one on offense, I'm kind of gonna go back to a conversation we just had. Georgia, I honestly think that that Jaden Rashada pickup, y'all might actually have a 5-star. Y'all gonna have actually do some stuff. It feels like the sins of the Justin Fields era may have just gone away, right? Y'all may have redeemed yourselves with this pickup. Hey, kid's talented. Kid's talented, right? And all you need is the right coaching to get you to that point. I think he's gone through the downs that you need for him to wake up and be able to realize what he needs to do to be good. I think Kirby's got himself a nice one with that pickup. I think that one's going to be finally the 5-star that takes over, and everybody's like, hey, look at this.
I think it adds a little confidence because behind Carson Beck, I mean, we all like Gunnar Stockton, but he hasn't had any real world experience. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of, just like we was talking about, he's an athletic, really good body, but now we're looking at a guy that actually has started Power 5 games, you know what I'm saying? And if something happens to Carson, which we don't want it to, because I'm still taking Carson over Rashada.
Right,
you know
but it's
you got
football.
that guy, right? It's
yeah,
football.
right.
You
got
it's somebody that's actually had snaps, right?
Exactly. So I like that pickup. I think that's going to be something special. Plus, he could terrorize Florida like that as a rival. Defensively, though, the player that got me, though, defensively, it's kind of a weird one for me. But when I was really wide looking at this, I'm like, look, for some reason, this school, even with their downs and ups and downs, they still have a tendency of putting corners in the league. Cormani McClain going to Florida, man, that could be a sleeper. That could be a big time sleeper. I mean, the biggest problem is grades, right?
Right. It could be that NIL though. He could have a little NIL, and I think it's a lot of guys. There was a Leonard Whitehead, the running back that was at Tennessee, came to Georgia 2 years ago as a walk-on. Like a lot of times, whether it's NIL or you're from that state or whatever it is, like I think we like sometimes you just want to get in where you fit in, and they ain't got no scholarship, so they make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think it is a good pickup for Florida.
Yeah, but that pickup to me, it's been under the radar for the most part because we all know that there's a lot of things going behind McClain, but if he settles in, he'll end up in the league somehow because that Florida has a tendency of doing that randomly, right? They'll be just ass on the field and. You look up, they got a first-round corner going. He's like, where did this corner and the safety come from? Like, wait, who? What? How did he get wasted? Like, how did Anthony Richardson end up a first-round quarterback and he was wasted this entire time? It just it's the Florida thing, but I think the McClain pickup is going to be a very intriguing one this coming season.
KJ Jefferson leaving Arkansas may get Gus Malzahn fired. I don't know about Pittman.
No, Pittman was fired before the season. No, you know what, Jason? Let me go ahead and chime in. I was gonna say, obviously, if we're gonna say Dominique Williams or whatever, I'll just go ahead and say Deion Burks. I dare anybody out there to come into Norman or let you boys come to your town and y'all try to bracket people, y'all try to double people. I just don't know how that's gonna happen. You got speed on the field, you got size, you got Gibson who's coming into his own. Anderson is as I think last year was really.
You have Andrew Anthony too.
Yeah, I mean you got Andrew Anthony, you got Jalil Farouk. Losing Stoops was actually a blessing in disguise because honestly, I think you got better at the slot. And then also the fact of the matter is, Bauer Sharpe is going to be a really good addition as well. But since we bring up the name KJ Jefferson, I'm going to talk about them collectively. I think UCF has made some great moves in the portal. I think what they're doing, they
UCF joined the SEC. When did UCF join the SEC?
I know that. I'm just saying, look, I think collectively, I think they've done a really good job in the portal, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and just go ahead and say they're my sleeper to win the Big 12. To be honest with you, because
well, that's all well and good, but to me, Taylor Green looks like he's better than KJ. He can actually read the defense. He's got a offensive guru over there.
I like Taylor Green.
No, but that doesn't. I don't know. Gus Malzahn's offense, man, it's designed for a guy like him.
It's a gimmick.
It is.
But it works.
It works. Get a ring out of it. Who cares?
I think
as long as Gus Malzahn, I think all the old heads on the SEC board right here with Coach Ty, all y'all. I think and Brenski, I think all y'all know.
Don't make me praise him.
As long as Gus Malzahn doesn't have a Schwartz or anybody fast that he just is like, damn if I do, damn if I don't, I'm going to run that jet sweep. As long as he ain't got that and he doing other stuff, he's fine. He's perfectly fine. But when he start getting into the jet sweep stuff, it's like, I don't know. Starting to scratch my head. I don't know what you're doing, Gus.
Gus needs an athletic quarterback, whether it be big or whatever. I think he will look better at UCF. I don't know if he's going to be like NFL. I mean, none of Gus Malzahn's quarterbacks actually go to the NFL. So
yeah, just Cam. But that was because
Cam was going wherever. Yeah,
no matter where Cam was playing, he was going pro.
That's a unicorn.
Yeah.
Don't make me think about that Alabama game.
He's an exception, not the rule.
But I'm with Jason.
That's one Ironbow we would never talk about.
We are not
with Jason for
I'll just say
for Bobby Petrino. I think Taylor Green is a better option. I watched him
Absolutely.
at Boise State, and the dude can actually throw. He can run too. So I mean, if he needs to get out of there, he can. And he's like 6'5", 6'6", or something like that. I don't know. He's real.
I like that somebody mentioned in there that KJ Jefferson's going to get Sam Pittman fired, when in all actuality, Bobby Petrino's about to get Sam Pittman fired because they brought him in here so that they can circumvent and bring him back in the head coaching job. Come on,
and
now,
then he can.
Let's keep it a buck. We know why they brought this dude in.
He's going to go toss some games or whatever, so he can get him fired.
No, he's not going to toss some games. He's just going to fire him and then be like, you know what? We're going to go a different direction. Hey, we've got an interim coach here. Let's go ahead and bring him up. And the next thing you know, he's got himself a 5-year deal, 7-year deal for $60 million.
You said everything I was about to say.
I like Taylor
Green. It ain't KJ getting that man fired. It's Bobby. Bobby when he got his old job. Arkansas misses it. That was actually when they was decent. They missed those days of being halfway relevant.
They missed the days of motorcycle rides and
yes. I put it to you like this: if Missouri can go out there and win 11 games, Arkansas was like, that should have band us. We're going back to that, and we're going to send Missouri back to where they belong.
So I'll go next. I'm going to give you 3, right? One of them, Oklahoma guys, close your ears, because I was going to go Dominic Williams, right? That's absolutely a correct answer. Coach I, great answer there. That's a big difference maker. I like y'all's defensive line, Jason, Chris, Jay. I think it has a lot of potential, but Jay, you hit the nail on the head. Experience is the name of the game. If you can help it, right? Like it helps your young guys. You and I, Jay, always talk about in college, your tutors are peers.
Yep.
And that helps the collective. But Andrew Makuba to Texas is big considering how poor that secondary played last year. And I'm not sitting here claiming that he's going to solve that secondary's issues and that they're all of a sudden going to be a stonewall secondary. You lose Terrence Brooks. You lose another cat that was about to contribute. You have some work to do in that secondary, but Makuba at least provides an answer. Right. I still have questions. I still have a lot of questions about that secondary.
Trash
but Makuba was listen, and I told Jay and Chris, whenever we were doing our post game for Bama, I was like, man, I hope there's a point where we get to run it back. Cause I'm not saying Bama would win. It'd be a great game, but I thought you could test them vertically and win. Makuba is going to be a good one. Now, if I go over to Alabama, right, I have two. One is Damani Jackson. Jason, Jay, Chris, y'all can attest to how bad an Alex Grinch defense is. Right? And I mean, I know Jay's over there having flashbacks, PTSD. He got the 1,000-yard stare. I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. But the reason why I go Damani Jackson is because in Kane Womack's defense at Indiana, at least, he was in a single high safety a lot. That puts a lot of stress on your cornerbacks. Now, I love the young talent Alabama got. They got 3 5-star cornerbacks in one class. Zabian Brown, Zay Mincy, Jalen Mbakwe, not to mention Drake Kirk and Red Morgan. And Red Morgan looks to be maybe starting as a freshman. But if you're in a single high safety a lot, you want to alleviate pressure off of those guys. And you want, like Jay said, an experienced defensive back. He was banged up at USC. But guys, he was the number 5 player in the nation coming out of high school on the composite. He has a 10.25 logged under his belt, 6'1", 190 pounds. He's got the tools. Offensively, I'm going to go Parker Brailsford. He was the highest graded returning center in the nation for 2024. I think the top 3 or 4 graded center this past year as a true freshman, and was on the Joe Moore winning offensive line. Alabama had a major problem at center last year. Heck, if you watch that semifinal game half the time, and Jordan Palmer on his YouTube channel, Carson Palmer is on there breaking down Milroe film, and half the time he's like, you don't understand how hard it is as a quarterback to try and read a defense when you're picking up a snap. And listen, Alabama's Jalen has to develop in other areas too, right? That's why I'm very excited about this coaching staff. But I think that provides an answer. And I'm all about questions and answers. Can you get an answer? I believe that's one.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear you whenever you were picking up that fumble just now. So that definitely tracks.
Fair.
Brenski Sharpe, who you got for your top, or anybody that you think is going to be a big mover, somebody that's going to make a big impact coming from the transfer portal to an SEC school?
I actually have 3 too, and 2 of them play for the same university, but I'm gonna say that one for last. One of the guys that we lost, Isaiah Bond to Texas. You lose Worthy and you lose AD. That's that's big for Quinn to at least have a reliable receiver that has experience that you can trust. So I believe that is very, very major for Texas. And plus you have Ryan Wingo already there, so he can learn. And you ain't got to depend on him to be your number 1. Isaiah Bond is easily going to be your number 1 day 1. So, and the other 2, man, one of them that we lost, which I think is a very, very underrated corner, Trey Amos.
Completely agree.
At Ole Miss.
Oh yeah.
My God, that is something that Ole Miss needs. I believe he's going to be CB1 for them. It's going to be major. Sure. They picked up a lot of great defensive backs. Well, they picked up a lot of great defensive players.
I was about to say.
Was Walter Nolan.
Got better on defense.
Drove out there writing checks.
I believe Walter Nolan is about to break out this year. I believe he's about to show why he was the number 1 player in the country, depending on what site you're looking at. But he's definitely about to show. And that's these 2 guys are one of the major reasons that I picked Ole Miss to upset Georgia. Sorry, Coach I. Don't be surprised, guys, if you see Ole Miss upset Georgia on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Obviously, Brenski is smoking the funny cigarettes again because this is crazy. All this.
Listen, man, they play good at home.
I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but Ole Miss schedule is so favorable for them to go to the SEC championship game. They don't play.
Hey, Brenski, I'm sorry to cut you off. I got one question for you and Ty. I think y'all two can answer this. Who's that defensive coordinator up there at Ole Miss?
And see.
All right, that's all I got.
I was just about to say something about that though. They just added Zach Arnett to that defensive staff as well. He's been one of the better defensive coordinators. He's the reason that Mississippi State was able to win the Egg Bowl a couple of years ago. For him to go over to the other side, he could prove to be important when you've
Yeah,
got
I saw his defense last year against LSU. I know they had the Heisman winner, but whenever there's one person that beats you and that's neighbors, he beats you by yourself, and you run a 3-3-5 where you have everybody damn near back. All I gotta say, then you mix that up, you match that, you marry that with Pete Golden, 4th and Golden, 1-4-6 Conti. That's what we do.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this.
That's
To
what
me.
we do. That's what we do.
Pete Golden.
the kind of team over there that
I'm getting a Winter Soldier flashback, right? I'm about to start flipping tables and
Jalen High had a road to glory moment on us.
Listen. And Brisky, listen, Ole Miss, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, Ole Miss is one of the games that I think we can drop. It's not even a surprise to me. Like I say, Ole Miss, like I've been telling people, Ole Miss plays good at home. They play bad on the road. So if you get Ole Miss on the road and you got the same talent or better, you're gonna kill them. But if you get them at home, it's just a different ball game. I don't know why Lane can't coach on the road, but it's just like that. I'm not saying that we definitely gonna lose, but it's if you say, because I'm not picking us to go 12-0 like some of these media heads. That's just asinine to me. I mean, we gotta play Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss on the road, so it's like we're gonna drop one of them.
Look, coach,
right.
Coach, listen to me, man. First off, you know Jackson Dart. It don't matter if he at home or if he playing in an away game. You know Jackson Dart is hit or miss. You got it. You just have to hope that he woke up on the right side of the bed. Second off, what happens when Pete Golden comes out?
A big game and Ben like came through in that big game.
Yeah, but listen. The second point is this right here. What happens when Pete Golden runs that defense out there, and then you got Walter Nolan playing your nickel? Like, what are we doing? Like, where we at? I mean, you know that's a possibility. I get mad right now because he knows that's a true possibility.
Hey,
I'm telling you, I'm about to snap like a Winter Soldier in here.
He's about to lose his mind on a wheel route.
Coach,
my God.
If I could, I believe you're right. Ole Miss is a tough game. Georgia's got a really fun schedule this year, and I'm sure being a Georgia fan, it's a lot of fun. You get some great road games, but just being an SEC fan, I think it's amazing. But
I love it.
My thing with Ole Miss, and I do agree with you. I think tough challenge. Don't overlook them. And Chris, this is going to surprise you. My biggest question isn't necessarily with Golding, because I know that's a question, right? Like I already know that Lane has this knack of trying to coach with ego and pride, right? Okay, maybe it's just against Alabama, but last year against Alabama, he was trying to do stuff that just categorically wasn't working, and he never got away from it. It was almost like he was trying to prove, no, this will work. Just wait. Trust me, guys. And it never did. And Georgia, listen, even if there are people out there that are wondering what's Georgia going to be this year, you know they're going to be well coached. You know they're going to be good, right? Like, how good? We'll see, but they're going to be good. That's where I think, in combination with Golding, Kirby's going to have the leg up, because Kirby's not interested in just being like, oh, I'm going to out-ego you. He's going to be like, oh, I want to win. That's how my ego gets fueled, is with those W's.
Right. I agree. And where it falls on the schedule is right in between Florida and Tennessee. So, that plus
That's
going
true.
to the Grove, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I think even if we win, it's going to not look like it looked in Athens. I mean, last year we scored, they scored, we scored, they scored, and then we scored. And it's like, I don't think it's going to go like that. If anything, we'll beat them by 10, or I think like 10 or less. That's just my thoughts right now. We'll see what, what I'm saying. But, hey, like Shawty always say, hey, as long as we win by 1 point or more, that's all.
A win's a win.
In the great words of Dominic Toretto, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Right. Winning is winning.
Right. But I think you got something on that ego thing, because Lane do call some crazy stuff like on 4th down on his side of the field and that kind of thing.
I think he loses his mind a little bit.
Right.
Real quick, this super chat was there a long time ago, but thanks, Neilio, for coming in. Hey, fellas, here's to a great show tonight. And I want to give a shout out to our boy Trap House Boomin'. Trap House. Look at this lineup of studs, like he's watching the Avengers. I agree.
The man, the myth, the legend.
the trap house booming, man. And then of course Shoddy, shout out to Shoddy in there, and
My guy.
I saw Jonathan
a real
Lewis
one
in there as well. So
That's right.
good to see Jonathan Lewis in there as well. Thanks for everybody for coming out. If you haven't already hit that like button, go hit the like button. We got a lot of channels on here. Make sure that you go and subscribe to all of them. We all have a lot of good channels here. We love college football. We're trying to take care of some of these guys. Okay, Chris is getting close to 1,000. Brenski, I think you hit 500. Did you hit 5?
30 more. 30 more subs.
30 away. We got to get Brenski to 30. We've got over 150 in here right now from different places. We got to get 30 of you guys over there to the Sharpe Shooters Podcast. Make sure that you get in there and subscribe to him as well. All right. Let's go now. We'll go around the horn again. There's a few more. So let's talk again. Let me give one in here and see what you guys think about it, if it's going to make a difference. I know a lot of people have been kind of they give love to Kentucky, it seems like every year anyway. It seems like every third or fourth year they go for 10 wins. Does Brock Vandergriff make this one of those years for them coming out of the portal?
That's a great question.
Georgia. Go ahead and answer.
I guess the last time I remember Kentucky being just, how can I say? I think they was 10-2 that year when they had Andre Woodson as their quarterback. I believe it can be one of those years.
Okay.
I believe it can be one of those years for him. Former 5-star quarterback. They lose Ray Davis. Oh man, it's the more and more I think I'm just trying to convince myself that Kentucky can at least be decent. I don't know, man. No, it's Kentucky. It's Kentucky in football. No.
Hey guys, the info for all these channels it's already in the description. So the channels are already tagged. You can hit up every one of them and go and subscribe to their channels. So go ahead.
I'll back clean up on this one since Brock came from Georgia.
Go ahead. You'll back clean up on it. Okay. Ty, what do you got?
I think that's an interesting question. I'm really interested. Wolford goes back to Kentucky. He was really successful there, establishing that big blue wall. If they can formulate a run game, I think it could certainly help. But we'll see, man. They're interesting for sure. Very interesting. I don't know that it's going to make like a head and shoulders difference just because I think the SEC, there's a very real possibility. Chris, you talked about the Big 12 earlier. I think that those two conferences could cannibalize themselves, just like absolutely eat each other from the inside out. And then you just have a few teams make it out the fire.
That's the expectation.
That's the hope.
Kentucky football is a trash box, bro.
And that's why I had to think, Sam. That's why I had to stop defending it, man. I started thinking of guys that just left, and I was just like, you know what? I take that back. It's Kentucky.
I'm gonna say this, and this, for us all you guys, I have a feeling there's gonna be one of these programs that's, these quote unquote JV SEC programs that's on that Texas schedule that are gonna get an upset in this season. It's gonna be Florida, it's gonna be Kentucky, or it's gonna be possibly Arkansas, which we just talked about. Go ahead, Ty. You look like you were ready to go.
Yeah, no, I actually broke down Texas's schedule today, and I understand from when you first sit there, it's not like, oh, y'all got a rough schedule. Florida, I don't know what they have on Billy Napier, but
apparently this.
Listen, if I've said this, if Billy Napier wins a bowl game or even makes a bowl game, build a statue.
Make one.
They need to build the statue if they make a bowl game, right? Like that's natty worthy. You heard it here first. Texas's schedule isn't classically difficult, but the layout of the schedule makes it decently difficult. For instance, they have the Red River rivalry and then Georgia. Like, That's a tough 2-game stretch. And then you go into a multi-game stretch where if you overlook one team, you could be in trouble. So it's not as difficult as Oklahoma's schedule, but the layout of the schedule to me is fascinating. Very early, it's easy. And then you have a run of teams. It's like overlook one of them and you could start domino.
Well, I didn't say they weren't going to lose 4 games anyway. I was just saying I was just saying that even though that schedule is light, I still think that this is going to be – I think that's one of the teams that you could see going in there and beat them. I think Arkansas could do it. I certainly think A&M could do it, now that they have a grown-up at the helm. Because let's be truthful. I mean, there's a lot of guys that ended up at Texas because of the fact of all the transfer portal stuff. You had 11 guys go to the draft. 11.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that have to happen.
Jason,
to do what they did.
Jason, you doing
a lot of things.
Right
No. You're not going to shut me up on my show.
You're doing the Lord's work right now. I'm complimenting you, fool. I'm saying you're doing the Lord's work. Keep going.
Why are you booing? I'm right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, 11 guys. Their entire when we were on your show, okay, Chris, and Jay brought it up. Of all the guys that they got, I mean, they've got one receiver coming back that caught a ball from Quinn a year ago, and he had 14 catches in the whole season, 13, 14 catches. So all this idea that they're so set up to win in the SEC is hilarious to me because of the fact that it took him 2 years. It took Quinn 2 years to get used to the guys he had. So, kind of is what it is. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead there, Jay.
So
you got another one for us?
Vandegrift, Kentucky, right? First off, shout out to Mark Stoops out here making bowl game after bowl game after bowl game at Kentucky of all places.
Right.
Mans is so much of an institution there that freaking John Calipari done bounced. Right? They done decided that they done with basketball. They want this man, Mark Stoops, to do better. So they gonna shift all their NIL right there to the football field. Wild as heck to me to see that they done did that. I mean, I would have never thought that Calipari would ever gonna leave that place. But supposedly it was beefing over NIL because they realized, you know what? We want Mark to do better. So shout out to the young Stoops. Do I think Vandegrift can do it there? Man, he was able to do something with Will Levis. So I'm sensing that there's probably going to be something that's going to come out of it. Now, granted, this kind of, Coach, I understand, this is no shade to them, but there's some weird that happens with 5-star quarterbacks at Georgia over the last 10 years. It's just been weird. They just, they get kicked out because somebody else better comes in. So for him, it's just never.
We prefer walk-ons.
My bad. You're right. Fair point. Touche. As Coach, I mean, they prefer walk-ons. They seem to always walk up there with a chip on their shoulder. So 5 stars too entitled for them. They don't like their kind. Say something about you people. So with that, the question's gonna be is Brock even any good? Right? Like I said, they were able to do something with Will Levis. I think they may be able to make some magic happen with Brock somehow. I don't know how, but they probably will.
Well, Jason hit it when he brought it up. And I think Bresky kind of touched on it. Every 3 to 4 years, because Stoops is a guy who doesn't get the 4 and 5 stars on a regular basis, so he has to build it up. So this is one of those years they could, be better. Now, me personally, I like Brock Vandegrift's athleticism. He's got a cannon for an arm, but actually playing the position of quarterback, he was never my choice. I go back to when we got him and then Gunner signed. I said that Gunner would, play before he played. And then, these are things that I've said in the past. I'm not saying that he won't do good, but that coupled with the schedule,
they've got probably 7 wins at least on the schedule that I can see. Maybe
I can tell you right now, they got 5 losses for sure.
Right.
They got 5 losses for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Texas.
I think they beat Texas.
So there's 3 teams. There's 3 teams on the schedule they never beat. So they don't beat Georgia. They don't beat Florida.
I wasn't thinking Georgia.
Well, I'm just saying that those are 3 off the rip. Tennessee,
They're in
Florida,
Knoxville too, yeah.
right? Like Tennessee, Florida, and Georgia automatically. They got to go to Texas. While I'm with you, Jason, like Texas might not be everything that what people are saying. They still get Kentucky at home. And Kentucky's actually used to playing in the cold at home. You know what I'm saying? They used to that game being Louisville at home. You know what I'm saying? So going to Texas at the end, that's not going to be good. And then again, Ole Miss at home. If they was playing Ole Miss at Kentucky at Kroger Field, I would give them a fighting chance. But going to Ole Miss, I'm not giving them a chance there. So they better hope they beat South Carolina, because South Carolina, Kentucky kind of, the last couple of years kind of like back and forth. So if they don't get South Carolina, they might be looking at 6-6, bro.
Every other week they're traveling to either Oxford, Gainesville, Knoxville, or Austin.
Right. Their road schedule is hard, dog. So I mean, while he may have them playing better, and I think Ty said it, Ray Davis was a good running back. I mean, a really good running back. You got to replace that guy. You can't just, you know what I'm saying? You got to replace that guy. And if they don't replace him, because that's Stoops' MO. Like, he's gonna run the ball. And if he can't run the ball, you can beat him up and down the field all day. They're gonna play physical now. So if you got to play Kentucky, you may beat them. But the next game, a couple of your players might be hurt because they just play that physical.
Shout out to Brenski. He was the one that made that great point.
Now we talk about how Florida's hated, man, but dang, I mean, I gotta look at Kentucky in this one too, dog. All they hard games on the road, dang, y'all play the best teams on the road. Like none of them are coming to your field.
But it was a question that I asked. So,
like they'll beat Southern Miss, Ohio, Vandy.
Real quick, Julian Rodriguez, I got something for you here.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
Talking about the Big Ten being the best defensive conference in the country. No more of that stuff.
Said by nobody.
Said by nobody. Said nobody ever.
F out of here with that BS.
Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I ain't gonna say I'm wishing him well, but I just don't know if Brock is the 5-star. I didn't think that coming out of high school. I don't think he, like Jay said, easy good. Honestly, I don't think that had nothing to do with Athens. I just don't think he was a 5-star material when he came out. I'm just be honest, and that's one of the problems, to your point, Jay, with some of the 5-stars outside of Justin Fields that have come to Georgia.
Right. Yeah, Fields was the one, man. I was a little.
They might not really supposed to be the 5-star,
Fair point.
I think that's probably why Riley even passed him. The same thing that you probably are saying about him still right now is that he doesn't read the defense. And I think that when you play in a system like they play at Georgia, that's a pro offense, that you have to make reads.
Me and Shawty talked about that on Respect the Hedges. While all of us at Georgia wanted Justin Fields, we did. We wanted Justin Fields. But like you just said, Jason, at Georgia, you're required to do a lot more pro-style reading defenses than you are at some other places. I'm not saying that Justin Fields couldn't have learned to do it, but Jake Fromm already had a handle on that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was.
Okay. My turn. Let me go ahead and jump into this. First off, Coach, you brought up his name. I can't do that. I can't even listen to that no more. Jake Fromm, that was part of the problem. That was part of the problem. Let's just be real. That was part of the problem. Brock Vandegrift should have had his ass at OU to begin with. Should have been over there with Lincoln. I kind of have to disagree with you about him not being a 5-star with what Lincoln was, the mojo he had. Look, I get it. I know we're supposed to hate Lincoln and all the rest of this stuff, but you can't deny what he did with the guys that he had. Other point is that we're putting too much emphasis, too much focus on Brock Vandegrift being at Kentucky. You guys are missing the biggest point of it all. They don't ever open up the offense. Every year we hear this talk about, this may be the year they beat Georgia. They may do this. How? How when you're only able to score 6 points? They are the K-State through and through of the SEC.
Whoa,
but at different times, do not
disrespect the Wildcats like that.
At different times, they have really good
Kansas State.
They have talent out there, but the problem is that when they get into big games, and I'm putting this on you, Coach. because you know this. When they play y'all, coming there with all the hype, everybody talking them up, game day going crazy, and then they look like Iowa when they get out there. Can't score a lick. Can't move the ball.
Kentucky is the Iowa State of the SEC.
Some of that
Keep
is because styles make fights, and Kentucky tries to come in and out Georgia. That's their problem.
True.
And so when they play other schools, they can do that kind of thing. But you can't come into Athens and you know what I'm saying? So some of that when we be beating them down like that, that's kind of what it is.
But Ty, how many times have we been on your show for a live and we talked about that Georgia Kentucky game? Everybody talking about it. And what did I say? Hey, Ty, I don't know how they're gonna beat Georgia when they only gonna score 6 points. It's not because of Georgia's defense, because they ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna throw the ball down the field. You had Leary, you had Will Levis, and all of them.
Oh, and that was a disaster.
And you just trying to nickel and dime the ball down the field. You got to take shots, and hell, at least go out there, get rich or die trying like Spencer Rattler against Georgia. At least do something.
Hey, man.
Kyle said Kentucky should have beat Georgia last year. Kyle, what game was you watching?
Man, I don't know what game he watching.
It was like we beat them like 55
oh
or 14
my God.
or something. Dog.
That K-State and Kentucky take is by far one of the best takes I heard all year, man.
When Bama went out there.
This man disrespected Kansas State like that, man.
They the K-State.
No, they are Iowa State, bro. Kansas State has won a conference championship.
Right. Hey, right.
And has been to conference championships. Iowa
talk
State.
About Big 12, but hey, man, don't disrespect K-State like that.
Right. Iowa State's more of a good example. Iowa State has moments where they go up and then they have a whole bunch of people gambling and then they lose. Like that's just that's just the cycle of it, right?
Right.
Like next season, Campbell's gonna luck out. He's gonna have the most returning player. I think he has like 89% of his player production is returning next year. Yeah. So he's gonna have a really good season. But Coach R, you right. I think you and Brenski mentioned this about every 3 years, and this is actually on cycle for Kentucky. They went 10-3, then went 7-6, 7-6, then 10-3, went 7-6, went 7-6. We are at a 10-3 season. There you go.
I just say, look, my point about it all is this right here. It ain't got nothing to do with Brock. It got to do with the offense. They got to open that thing up. They got to let it fly a little bit because the offense gets really stagnant and it's 3-and-out. I hate watching Kentucky play. When they played against Bama, the only thing that kept them in the game is because Bama kept making mistakes. Kool-Aid with the fumble on the punt. I think Milroe had a couple of bad throws or whatever, but I mean, those games right there, to me, it was like, damn, they just out here jogging around practicing. This is really just a glorified scrimmage for them. This is not a game because at no time is Kentucky a true threat when it comes to a big game. Why? Because they can't score with you. They're not a team that's going to try to move it up and down. If you get out to a lead on them or even the first team to 20 wins.
Well, and the thing is because they want to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Against Florida last year, they were able to run the ball. I think Ray Davis had like 220 yards or something.
Florida.
That's what I'm saying. To your point, like when they play Georgia, you're not going to be able to run the ball like that. So you have to be able to do something else. And if you can't do that something else, like you said, like throwing the ball downfield, then that's going to be a problem for you. But so that's why Kentucky. I don't know the guy Kyle in the comments. I mean, he must be like his second team or something. I'm like, dog, Kentucky's never gonna it doesn't matter who the running back is. Benny Snell, Ray Davis, all these guys they've had, none of them run for a lot against Georgia because Kirby. If Kirby can't do nothing, he gonna stop you from running the ball. He might not stop all the passing, but he gonna stop you from running the ball. It's the reason why I tell people all the time I don't like to play Ohio State because Ohio State can do both. They can throw the ball and run the ball. Like Tennessee wants to run the ball. If they can't run the ball, then that offense doesn't work. What is Kirby going to do? He's going to stop you from running the ball. That's why Kentucky normally can't beat Georgia because they can't run the ball. It's going to be the same way this year. If they can't run the ball, it's just going to get ugly. That's just what it is. Right. Some of those other teams on their schedule, like
you're not gonna Georgia shit.
Right, to Jason's point, though, at the end of the year, I do have Texas beating Kentucky, but if Texas can't stop Kentucky from running the ball, then that's going to be a problem because that's what Stoops is going. Chris, you're right. That's why nobody likes to watch Kentucky because Stoops is playing old school football out here. He's 3 yards in a cloud of dust, dog. So
crazy,
you better have a good D line playing against Kentucky. That's all I can tell you. If you don't,
I was just gonna say, my fault, coach. But I was just gonna say, and that was my problem with Drew Leary last year. It wasn't anything that he was doing. It was the fact that I was like, you went down there to kill your draft stock because you knew they weren't gonna open the offense. That was like McNamara from Michigan going to Iowa. I was like, why the hell would you go to Iowa? Why would you do that? We try to go to the league, right? What are we doing?
Right.
Bro, if you're a field goal kicker, go to Iowa. You are going to get to showcase that puppy left, right, and center.
Right.
No shit, right?
And it didn't help
Big
Leary
man
last
on
year.
campus.
Their receivers had the dropsies all year. So
Yeah.
it was just, you go back and watch that Georgia game, they dropped some wide open first downs, like nobody even in the camera frame type deal. I mean, we was up big, but still.
So if you have any more now, obviously I asked in the chat here who they like for transfers, impact transfers, and I kind of think this one's a little bit funny, but talking about Caden Proctor, the boomerang transfer, but I think it's a big deal for Alabama, right?
Huge deal.
It's a big deal. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Last year. And Jay and I talked about this before the season. You kept hearing Bama's offensive line is the biggest offensive line in the nation. And I remember Jay, Chris, and I talking, and I was like, listen, either this is going to be a stroke of genius or this is going to be a disaster, right? And in run protection, they were really good. Pass protection, it was tough. You had Caden Proctor at 18 years old playing at like 355 pounds. We looked it up earlier. The average NFL offensive lineman is like 320. And he's already shed 20 pounds. Kalen DeBoer's offensive scheme is so interesting because everybody wants to talk about what they do passing. Watch their offensive line. We were breaking down the all-22 with actually a former Washington safety, and they're pinning and pulling everywhere. Like, I haven't seen as much movement from an offensive line as I've seen from Kalen DeBoer's offense. So Proctor slimming down is going to be massive for the offensive line, especially when you return a Tyler Booker, who I think is going to be a top draft pick, or at least a first rounder. I think that guy is sensational. And Jaden Roberts, very excited to see what he does. But no doubt, Caden Proctor was huge for Alabama coming back. Because if not, you have to replace left tackle and right tackle. And that's already going to be a battle. I think Formby will probably win that right tackle position because of the athleticism that the offensive line requires, but going to be fun.
Right. I think
I think it was a huge deal, right? You need obviously in order to last year Washington, they had their best year, but I mean they've been great under Kalen DeBoer in the last couple of years. But part of the reason was because they had the Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line. You step into a situation at Alabama where they were already loaded on the line, and then you get Caden to come back. That's a big deal. That's got to be a big deal for them, and for them to keep him kind of clean, Jalen, or but to be able to keep, any of the quarterbacks, but particularly when you're learning a new offense, you've got to be able to keep this kid upright, right?
Number 129 in the nation in sacks allowed. Gentlemen, if I would have told you that any team in the nation would have made the college football playoffs ranking number 129 in sacks allowed, you'd have all told me I was crazy. And I'd have looked at you and said, yeah, you're right, I'm insane. But here we are, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Coach Shy, Stat Guy said in there, he said
it was they got a wide receiver from Nevada. Yeah. He's like 6'4", and the reason why, whether he is, I don't, elite or not, isn't the question. Is South Carolina, this is actually the opposite case of what me and Jay was talking about earlier. Like, they need bodies. Like, they need bodies.
They need physical people first.
right. Because like legit between I think they got you had Leggett get drafted, and then like the other 5 receivers or 4 to 5 receivers hit the transfer portal or graduated. They literally needed numbers. They got two wide receivers from the recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken, my nephew and one other guy. And then they needed bodies. Like, you got to have bodies to play. So getting a 6'4" guy from Nevada, who, Nevada wants to, throw the ball around anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? So
Beamer
I
ball.
think there was right. Beamer need all the help he can get down there, dog.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Hey, come on home, Beamer. Come on home, Shane.
Schedule, but South Carolina, they right there. Hey, they trying to catch him.
Yeah,
Come on, Beamer.
they definitely have pretty much every tough team in the conference. I think they got a break and didn't have to play Georgia this year.
Yeah, but they replaced him with Alabama.
Placed them with Alabama. Yeah, and they go on the road to Oklahoma. I mean, and
Right.
Alabama. So they're on the
And
road.
LSU.
Ole Miss on the road and LSU on the road.
Yeah,
Or no, LSU's at home. LSU's at home.
LSU's at home. LSU. If that's a night game, like South Carolina's one of those teams where you like, where it's not scary to play in Columbia. True, unless it's at night. If they play at night, I don't know, something about playing at William Bryce at night. The Gamecock fans are already like super delusional. It makes them even more delusional. They get rowdy, and it's just hard to win in Columbia at night.
Liquored up in rowdy. Is that what we're talking about?
Listen. I told you, we're gonna have to have a show about tailgating, dog. Like, welcome y'all. Like, listen, I'm trying to tell you, that's
just
one
spraying
reason,
them,
dog.
boy.
No, them dudes be crazy at night in Columbia.
That's awesome. That is freaking awesome, man. Yeah, well, we're gonna get to host Stat Guy at the Oklahoma game. He's already gonna be heading down there for that one. So, we'll take care of him out there. We'll get him around. Make sure he's all right. Because the team's not
get that
gonna
tailgating together. Y'all get that tailgating together, like Mike Wilkerson said on this show. Y'all need to get up y'all
absolutely.
tailgate game.
They need to get that tailgating together in Oklahoma. That's I hope we get a transfer portal move on that one.
Right.
Because the tailgating has left a little bit to be desired lately. But being in the SEC, you're gonna have to pick it up. I think
I was about to say, when y'all go on the road, y'all will get to see the craziness that is the SEC tailgating. No matter, listen, I'm gonna tell you, literally, no matter what school you go to, dog.
Yep, it's been great. I've been to a few.
Even if y'all play Vandy, go to Nashville. The whole experience is amazing.
Nashville's a great town.
It actually is.
Nashville's a great town.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially because it's right there by, and it's right there close to all the stuff that goes down there.
I was just about to say, you need to go a night or two early so you can go to Broadway.
Yeah, and see all the lunatics and they cowboy boots and all the drunk.
It's the number one bridesmaid.
It is. Of the world. They get hammered. It's a great time. I've gone down there. I've gone to a Tennessee game with the Knoxville on Saturday. Went to a Titans game on Sunday, and man, it was just amazing on Saturday night watching all the craziness. Well,
who do y'all get on the road? By the way, who does Oklahoma get on the road?
Hell, everybody.
Missouri, LSU, and Auburn, as well as Ole Miss.
Coach, they got to go to that absolute voodoo trap known as Jordan Hare.
Oh, he doesn't believe that, Ty.
You don't want to hear
I've been trying to convince him.
Didn't they lose to a 4-letter acronym school at home?
Listen.
Again.
Listen.
For Alabama,
what
it
did they,
is.
And Georgia.
Touche.
So,
when they want to show up, Jay, you're right. And that's the most frustrating part because this is one of those things where you're not wrong. But Coach, I can tell you,
ignorance is bliss if you're Oklahoma. You don't have to think about that shit.
Auburn is the weirdest coach or team.
They play us tough every now and then, but they actually beat Auburn.
Random.
But it's the only. Alabama. It's the only time they can ever beat Alabama is if they're playing at home. Like they literally cannot beat Alabama, and
it's the weirdest thing, man.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I was talking from the tailgate standpoint. Auburn, LSU. Dog,
LSU's awesome. Tennessee's great.
Listen,
Knoxville's
Tennessee, dope. Y'all get to go to Ole Miss to the Grove for tail. Like if you can,
that's what I want to do. I'll be I'm figuring out the Grove now.
And LSU got the best. I think top to bottom, just the best experience overall. So
man, it's gonna be in November though, like in November. Around my birthday.
Like that doesn't
matter.
The weather's
amazing down there at that time of the year, bro.
No,
it's perfect.
LSU tailgate regardless, bro. I don't care. The game at 9 a.m. You better show up at 6 a.m. because they getting it in.
They get it in, and it liquor everywhere. Everywhere. Right. I went to Tennessee, LSU a couple years ago. I was like, oh,
right. And I know you Sooner fans don't like Missouri, but if you go to the game, they have stepped their tailgating,
That's good to hear.
Coach,
being in
Coach,
there.
that's good to hear. We don't really care. We don't really care. We've been there and done that plenty of times. We don't care about that.
They've stepped it up. They've
That's a
stepped
hole
it
in
up.
the wall to us. Let me tell you something. That's a love's quick stop right there.
Hey man, y'all in
There'll be no mid-Zoom chat on here.
listen, man. Y'all in the SEC, man. Y'all got to step it up.
If it's three things that Jason doesn't like in this world, he doesn't like Lincoln Riley, he doesn't like Sharpe, and he doesn't like Missouri.
There you go.
I just don't understand why. What's the
four,
point of giving
because
Missouri
Texas-
any energy? It just doesn't feel like it's their
And Okie
value.
Light too.
Hey Ty, how much I got Auburn beating y'all by this year?
Negative 35.
Listen, if Peyton Thorne is
Auburn
still
by
the quarterback
40,
over there, I'm confident.
Yeah, well, Auburn's
The only
going.
thing that
to
sucks, it is Hugh
Tuscaloosa
Freeze,
this
though.
year, right?
Right. Auburn's got to go to Athens and Tuscaloosa this year. So.
I'll be honest with you. The Auburn game is the game I've already kind of circled on the schedule for the Sooners this year. Why? To be honest with you, I'm not worried. I'm not concerned, but that game to me is going to be a better game than the Tennessee game. I think Tennessee coming here. I think we get Tennessee by 20 at home. I'm just gonna be real with you.
What? Okay, so
But going on the road there, you got to think about it. And I think there's a bye before the game, but still, regardless, you're trying to get to the bye week.
No, there's no bye before the game.
Is there no bye week?
No,
after
we
that
have the
game?
bye after that. Then we play Texas.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So my point is that game right there speaks volumes to me because I'm like, okay, bunch of college kids, you're gonna be you probably should win by 20 or so. But the fact of the matter is, you're trying to get to that bye because you're trying to be able to go home that weekend. You're trying to do all the rest of that, and then you're trying to have some days off before you get ready for that week, preparing for the Red River game, right? So that's the reason why I kind of say I think that's the game right there because that's always the game that we would usually overlook, right? And I mean, last year, who do we play this past season, Jay? Before we played them, wasn't Iowa State, and we were saying, yeah, we should beat them by 20 or whatever, but are we going to be overlooking them? It's a maturity thing, right? And I think we're going to be mature enough to handle that, but that Auburn game is going to be tricky simply because I think Hugh Freeze is a really good coach. Now, Ty may think that he's a dirty, sleazy slime ball off of the field.
Am I wrong?
I think he's a really good coach. And that's why I got Auburn by 40 when they played in the Iron Bowl this year.
Listen, if you have a situation where you have a essay
Just be trolling.
at your school and you start reaching out to victims in the DMs, I am of the mindset you shouldn't even be allowed back in the sport. But
Yo, I am 100% in that camp.
But still,
that's a sleazy
Rewind.
That is stank.
Chris, did you just say y'all gonna easily beat Tennessee by 20?
by 20. Go ahead. Mark it.
No,
Hey, sign, seal, and deliver, baby. I'm gonna put it right there for you, Coach.
I think y'all could win. That's not the question. But by 20,
20?
dog?
Dang.
Where y'all playing again?
Coach, we playing at home.
Yeah,
We playing in Norman. It's gonna be the first SEC game. We about to show them, baby. We about to show 'em.
Nico about to throw for 3 tubs,
Nah,
350.
Nico
I don't know who
Nico gonna throw
winning
for
and-
2
hey.
touchdowns
Oh,
in
no.
a
Bro, I don't like
44
I don't
long.
like
Here's
nothing
the-
Tennessee, but I'm like 20.
Stop it.
20?
Coach, when it happens, I'll see you around. Trust
Okay.
me.
Hey, listen,
I'ma
you
keep
don't
the
get no
receipts,
smoke with
Coach.
me, dog. I'm a Georgia fan. We
Hey,
hate
clip
Tennessee.
this,
but I'm just
Jason.
saying-
Clip this so we can go and show Coach as soon as this happens. Because I swear I'm bringing it to you.
So he's going to throw for 3 tubs and 350.
He gonna throw for a nice little 195 for like maybe 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, something like
You
that.
think
It's
Hypo
Okay.
first return to Norman, he gonna go down by 20?
yeah.
I think, hey, listen,
We've
here's the
seen this
reason why
offense
that
for the
could
last
happen.
2
Here's the
years.
reason why it could happen other than just saying it. First off, defensively, they're going to have they get a brand new quarterback defensively that they can get after. They can force him into some mistakes. It could happen. The other thing I would say is
vice
that Josh
versa.
is gonna
That
come
works
in there
vice versa.
Really
That works vice
want to
versa.
win.
So
I
Oklahoma
heard
gets to get after their new quarterback, and Tennessee gets to get after your new quarterback.
Okay. Right.
And they both were. I like them. I mean, they both were what they both like 5 stars coming out? Jackson and Nick?
They both are
and
5-star
Tennessee has a nasty pass rush too, and Oklahoma's replacing a lot of the offensive line.
Like I said, I'm not questioning the win. I'm questioning the 20.
Hey, 20. Hey, 20 of them things. You know what I'm saying?
That's a man coming into the SEC with his chest out.
Listen, you'll give me a whole bunch of firepower to use on Tennessee fans on Twitter. So
real quick,
That's true. Yeah, Coach, I love that.
You got to come in here. You got to come into the SEC with some respect, man. Why do your feet?
Nah. Hey, to all
coming into the house.
All my wrestling fans out there, y'all remember when Vince McMahon was going crazy on WWE and he turned around in that chair and he said, I got to inject poison into my own company. That's what Sankey did. Sankey brought the NWO back, baby. Hey, I don't know about Texas, but
Tennessee plays Kent State before they come to Oklahoma, dog. That's like another bye week, bro.
I'm not going to lie. It's going to be something. Listen, and I don't mean to wish this on you, Jay and Jason, but it's going to be halfway poetic. If Tennessee does pull out that W, if they send a personalized video to Chris over here with "Not Like Us" as the track, it'll just be a double.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll get to that. But, hey, coach.
Yeah, James Pierce is terrifying. I'm just gonna keep it a buck.
Yeah, he is. That's a concern. But real quick, Jay, you got to get out of here. So
yeah, I'm about to get ready to roll
in and tell everybody how to get there and find you.
Y'all can find me Unfair Sports. Search me on YouTube as well as whatever podcast to download and listen to. See y'all again on here soon.
Hey man,
hold on before you go. Awesome T-shirt as always.
As always.
Cocktails, babies, and dreams.
Cocktails and dreams. Dude, I really like that one. Yeah, there we go. Jay Smith from Unfair Sports. And make sure you guys get over there and check him out if you're not already subscribed to his page. And he's actually, I think he may have been running this on his show as well. So you should get on all the channels, guys. Make sure that you hit the like for everybody, subscribe to everybody. It's helpful for all of us. Man. Where you at on your subs there, Brenski? Did you get to 5? Check it. You're muted, but
I gained 2 more subscribers. I appreciate you, whoever subscribed. Just keep on coming. We'll make it 500.
Y'all go subscribe to the Sharpe Shooters Podcast. Come on.
Absolutely.
He just had a great interview today.
Did have a great
interview,
right.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man.
Definitely
appreciate y'all and appreciate y'all for retweeting it and pubbing it for me.
We got NWO talk on here, man. That's some funny shit.
Better hope they don't hit you with the sweet chin music.
Hey, I know what you said there, but Sankey put he injected poison in the SEC. That's all I got to say.
I think I was arguing with Chris about that. Then I think I posted something about Shawn Michaels being the greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh yeah.
It was voted on by the wrestlers, man.
That was trash.
His peers voted him that. Yeah, the greatest ever, man. The greatest ever.
Too. We ain't doing that. Nope. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Been sub to and bloody. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in everybody who's been in here. Let's see what Chris Williams, you want not one of these. Okay, you guys are crazy in here. We got it. It's going buck wild in here. Anybody so any other transfer guys that impact that you can think of right off the top of your head, or even just a guy that's going to be coming in making his first year, his first significant playing time, I guess. You know, I'm looking. I think Lenore Sellers is going to be one of those guys.
You took it right. Yeah, I was about to say that too.
I think Lenore Sellers looks like the real deal. You know, shout out to Stat Guy. But you know, he looks like the real deal to me. He can run, he can throw. He's going to be a little bit different. You know, not like Spencer Rattler, who's a statue back there without that offense. If they don't have that offensive line short up a little bit, he's going to be able to help them out with that. It seems like.
They also got Rocket Sanders from Arkansas to help out just a little bit. You know, if he's 100% healthy, I don't know what the health status and, you know, what all that is, but they did get Rocket Sanders from Arkansas.
Hopefully, hopefully he does have a healthy Rocket, because he's going to need weapons back there. It don't matter who's back there, Jason.
Right. Like at this point, like I say, Sarkana need bodies, bro.
Yeah. Like, I'll be real with you. Rattler lost a lot of weapons. He had like one guy out there. lost
Right.
it.
Well, yeah,
They lost
but they did they brought in Coach I's nephew to play receiver along with that other receiver from Nevada. They've got some weapons. I don't know as far as what happens with that offensive line because I don't know that they addressed that.
Yeah. They're a year away for the offensive line. They brought in a good recruiting class, but you can't, you're not dependent on 5, true freshman offensive linemen, in their first year. So they got another year. That's
Right.
why. And then the schedule, again, it just doesn't. It's like it's always a culmination of things for South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's going to be a long one for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, and I think when stats says the hype too big, I don't think that you have to expect it. I think a couple of years, that second year of him, you can maybe hope for a little more. But I still think he's going to come in and be an impactful player, or show a little something. I don't think that being an impact means that you're going to go win 10 games. I think you could, maybe pull off an upset here or there, whatever. Just not when you get to Norman.
We'll get to see if he can deal because it is a lot of expectations for Lenore's coming into this year, especially again out of Columbia. You know what I'm saying? They're expecting almost like savior, like I would say. You know what I'm saying? So, but like you said, you gotta take the what do you want to check your expectations because. Again, it's not just about Lenore's being really good. You know what I'm saying? It's about his supporting cast and that schedule, bro. And that schedule. It's not favorable. That's all I'm saying. So he could come out and look not as good as people want him to look because of the schedule.
Okay, Chris. Anybody show you're thinking about? No.
Right.
Come on now. You're gonna get quiet on us. Now you're gonna get quiet on us. Who say? Let's see.
I can tell you one.
Go ahead.
Jeremy Bernard. That's a great one, right? Because I know Brenski earlier. You were talking about the loss of Isaiah Bond, and I agree. Isaiah Bond's a great wide receiver, but Jeremy Bernard knows the offense. And interesting thing is on the offensive side of the ball. There's someone in every room that knows the Kalen DeBoer offense, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, offensive line. That's going to help the transition. I'll tell you someone who I'm happy didn't transfer into the SEC because Jason, y'all play this team, and I'm sorry. I know it's one of your teams that you don't want to hear about, but here we are. And we played them. Missouri lost Cody Schrader. He was huge for that offense. And whenever Dylan Edwards hit the transfer portal, in my mind, I was like, oh, my Lord.
God. I didn't want him anywhere in the SEC. Yeah.
If Missouri gets Dylan Edwards, that kid has home run ability anywhere he touches the ball. Like, you got to be on your P's and Q's. I was just so thankful that he didn't go to Missouri because I was like, that's an offense that's relatively ready to hit the ground running.
I got a big transfer. I got an impact transfer, Jason.
Go.
Co-defensive coordinator Tavares Robinson coming at.
That's a huge one. Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That's a huge one.
It
you
is.
thieves.
Not wrong.
I'll tell you what's funny, though. He probably came there with the expectation that he was going to be able to get the DC job and then got slapped with co-DC.
Well, I
But
think
it's
Glenn
still
Schumann,
huge.
I think Glenn Schumann, I think Kirby did that because if Glenn Schuman's been, he's been courted the last 2 years. So I wouldn't.
Smart gamesmanship for sure. So very, very well done.
Right. And then, we're going to have to find somebody after that because I think Tavares got about 2 to 3 more years as a DC or so, and he'll probably be somebody's head coach too.
I don't even think so long. I think it would be probably in the next year or two.
Hey, well, he can just come in, help us get another natty, and then roll on out though.
That's why y'all ain't get Caleb down. You understand, man. I thought that was the biggest chess move. I swear to God, if Kirby would have got he already got T-Rob. Then if he got Caleb, I promise you, I love Kirby. I love him to death. But I would have hated that man.
I'll be honest, if we had got Caleb down, I might have picked us to go 12-0. I might have picked us to go 12-0.
Even without Bowers?
They got Delp.
Dog, y'all better, I try to tell people.
Delp was a monster, bro.
Listen, Bowers got hurt in the Vandy game. Go watch the next 4 games. Carson still threw for 300 a game, though. Like
Delp
I
is so
honestly
good.
felt like the
y'all
SEC
playing?
championship would have been better had Brock not played at 75%, because when Brock's on the field, he forced, like, Carson is gonna look for him. If he's not playing, dog, the weapons that we got out on the outside would have stepped up. But the problem was Carson was looking for Brock too much.
Coach, I gotta see it to believe it, baby. I gotta see it to believe it. I'm just saying. Like, I know y'all got talent all over the field, but it was the Brock and Ladd show last year. That's all it was.
Over 4,000 yards. Brock had like 800.
Hey man, y'all lost Ladd. Y'all
Yeah,
lost Brock.
but the jet sweeps and all
Ladd
that.
and Brock again. Ladd and Brock
man.
didn't play for like 3 straight games.
They didn't play for most of the.
You know Brock didn't play. You know Brock didn't play. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Brock didn't even play.
Georgia's got a deep tight end room, man. I'm not even going to lie to you. As much as I hate to admit it, because those are the ultimate chess pieces right now in college football.
Plus, they added another transfer guy there. There's a transfer that they
from
added
Stanford.
at Georgia, right? From Stanford, that tight end.
Yep.
So that's a big move there. Hey, but
Delp is going to put people on notice.
Giving love to Kyle DePuis for what he's saying. If we're going to talk DCs, how about Zach Alley? Hey, this guy had a top 20 defense at Jacksonville State. He is Brent Venables' shadow from Clemson in 7 years that he spent within there. He went on and did really, really good things at Boise State. Then at was it Louisiana Monroe, I think, and then he was at Jacksonville State with
Rich Rod.
So the guy knows his stuff for sure. And I think, when you start looking at there's a lot of really good that's going to give you kind of continuity there, that everybody's calling him kind of, the clone for BV. He knows what needs to be called. And that also frees up Venables to be more of a CEO, which is what everybody's kind of needing from Oklahoma in that deal. So I agree with Kyle here. That's it was big, if we're talking that kind of impact. I think it's big. Certainly better than Ted Roof. So
Come on, like keep it going. I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Not gonna talk about that. All right,
Chris. I remember we did that live after the West Virginia game, Venables' first year, and I was screaming into the mic. I was like, "It's 4th and 5. You have your second string quarterback in for West Virginia. They can't push the ball north and south. They have to go east and west. And Oklahoma comes off 12 yards off the corners. What are we doing?" That killed me.
What gets you is when Roof is taking a piss doing. He's like, "Oh man, they turned it over." Like, yeah. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You taking a bathroom break? Hey, what are we doing, Coach? Come on, man. But no, I mean, you go get Zach Alley though. I mean, I think it's really good. Young, energetic coach that I think now he's got to close the deal. I think we may have a hell of a recruiter on our hands as well. I think from everything you're hearing from the linebacker kind of the offers that you're seeing go out, like, hey, this is different. This is different.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think that I think it's clear he's proven himself, whether it be at the lower levels or not. This is why you go get those guys that he's had 2 jobs as defensive coordinators, and he's coached for Tommy Bowden or Terry. Is it Tommy Bowden, right? Bobby Bowden's son, Terry Bowden.
At Auburn was Terry, and Tommy was at Clemson.
Yeah.
Okay, Terry. I think it's one of them was at ULM, and then for Rich.
Oh, that was Terry. Yeah, that was Terry.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. And I mean, to me, I think that was a huge deal that you're getting coaches that know what they're talking about, and they hated losing him. You know what I mean? So to me, and if Brent Venables thinks that he's the guy, I think he's the guy. So I'm good with that. That's just where I'm at. All right. What else? Let's see. Brenski, who you got? Anybody else you want to talk about?
I had one earlier. I'm trying. Let me see.
Yeah, Jimmy. Terry wasn't he wasn't there this past season. He was there the year before that, and then Allie went to Jacksonville State. So that may be why.
Jason, I'll be honest with you. I do have one. I don't know if that's who Redmayne is talking about, but I'm not really an Isaiah Bond fan. That's just me. Not really high on that transfer, but I will say Nyback, excuse me, however you say his name.
Did you hear what Joe Cox said when he left?
What did he say?
I won't repeat it on this channel, but Joe Cox is universally loved across the coaching circles. We'll talk about that later.
No, say it.
That's why he said it was addition by subtraction.
Perfect. That's great to hear. Great to hear.
Apparently, per Joe Cox, not per Ty, per Joe Cox, the tight end coach, he was freestyling routes. He didn't know what route to run ever.
Well, that makes all the sense of going over there with Sark. Sark just Sark spinning stuff up on a wheel anyway, and it's beautiful, but he does. But reason why I say this is because
he's super talented. Yeah,
I think he's way better than what they had with Sanders. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's more fluid in the pass game. I think he can actually run routes. Not to say that Sanders couldn't, but I mean they tried to use Sanders all types of way. It was almost like they were just like, yeah, you're not really a tight end. You're going to be our H-back. Couldn't really block all that well. And I mean, I felt like Sark had to scheme him open himself, which that's what Sark is paid to do. But at the end of the day, I don't think you have to do that for Nyback. I don't think you have to do all of that. I think Nyback can go out there, especially in that offense that's really, really friendly to a tight end like that. You're not asking him to do all that much. Hold a block, show, get open, right? So, I mean, the thing is, I think that's a big addition for them because now Sark can have a tight end out there on the field too, like that can actually be a threat opposed to what he's had in the past.
Well, I had one guy, and I wish he stayed with us, Dez Ricks.
Yep.
I wish he stayed with us. It's a lot of guys in that secondary. I wish they did not go because Trey Amos is one of them because he was definitely about to be our number one. But
I think a depth piece for us, Jake Pope, we got from y'all. I like Jake Pope.
I like Jake Pope too.
He knows football, and he's not going to start for us, but Kirby plays multiple safety, so I think he'll help in the safety depth.
No, I think that's a great point.
I like it too. You got anybody else, Coach I, before you got to run? You said you got to get?
Yeah, man. I'm going to be heading to the ATL tomorrow, so I start
going to the ATL.
I'm being A.
You gonna be in the A this weekend?
Nah, I ain't gonna be in the A, man.
Oh,
Not
man,
this weekend. I wish.
And
I wish my auntie's in town though, man. I ain't going nowhere near.
That's a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So I'm in the
here.
A. You know what I'm saying? Every other month or something like that. So, but yeah, man, it's been real, man. I appreciate it. It's been good getting back in. You know what I'm saying? We got to get this thing pumped up before June 22nd, the official launch of the new Saturday Night Snap Count.
I was hoping you would bring that up. We make sure that we get over there for that one. We'll be on. Let's see. I know Brenski and I will both be on that show, or well, a few of these leading up to it. But we're definitely lined up with you for this season as well for Saturdays. Can't wait for the snap count, man. That's one of my favorite things about last season for sure was to go on talk ball with you guys and stuff. So yeah, thanks for having us be a part of that again, Coach I, and we appreciate you joining us tonight, man.
Yeah, man. If y'all haven't already, go over to the Fanatic. You see it right there. Go to the Fanatic or Fanatic Sports on YouTube, IG, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure y'all sub to this channel, man. I'm trying to catch Jason, man. Ty too far down the road. Right,
you ain't catching me neither.
I'm trying to catch Jason. Hey, first trying to catch Jason. So y'all go subscribe to the channel, man. Fanatic Sports.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you. Hey, man, we appreciate you coming in, bro.
All right, fellas. Y'all have a good one, man.
I'm 20, Coach.
All right.
We're gonna be mid-zoo by 50.
You said by 50?
No, but we're gonna put 50 on them. I can see.
Where y'all play them at?
It's in Columbia, but here's the deal: that you had a lot of their fans that were doing a lot of that tornado talk after that the stuff just happened recently. So that's one of the deals where you don't get to talk that shit. And they've been talking so much that it's gotten around the players. Oklahoma fans already, the fans are one thing. When it starts getting into the team, that's when you know. That's when you know. But this season is going to be great for college football, Redmayne. I think that's a great statement right there. I can't wait. It's exciting, great stuff for, hey man, if you love college football, there's no way you can't be psyched about this season. No way you can't be excited about this season. So, regardless of whoever is on the schedule, whatever, and that kind of stuff, great news to hear that they did go. To me, I think it's great news that they went to the revenue share. I think that probably fixes some of these issues with moving around as much as they will, because I don't think you're going to have a bunch of kids wanting to, have buyouts. And I think that if you do something, if you offer way too much, and you only have $20 million to spend or whatever for the rev share, I think that's it's probably going to keep people around. Maybe they'll think a little bit more before they just jump into the portal. I don't know. I just feel like it's a step in the right direction. Can't be worse, right? Cannot be worse. What else we got? Gentlemen, anything else you wanted to add? Anybody else you were thinking of? We were just mostly talking about, some of the Sooner guys in there talking about Tawhida, Wisconsin. I think Tawhida, Wisconsin's a big deal. We were mostly keeping this to SEC. But I think that's good for Tawhida. I'm excited for Tawhida Walker. Being a walk-on, coming out of JUCO ball, and, he probably should have gotten a little bit more playing time last year for sure. But he wasn't going to get playing time, so it was the right move for him to go to Wisconsin. He wasn't going to get a lot of time moving forward. Yeah, you didn't think Mizzou had enough fans to do much talking? Yeah. They found some fans for their 11-win season for the first time in freaking a decade. But, it is what it is. Yeah, Redmayne, we're not going to throw that one up there. And here, I'll give you one. Hold on.
Horns down, motherfucker.
Or we could always do the Onikuno special.
The brand has finally returned. F your brand.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
One of the greatest couple of minutes in Oklahoma YouTube history. Right there.
I had to turn the video off because I already knew what was about to happen. Because, yeah, man, you don't mess with Onikuno.
Onikuno was he was working his way into it pretty well, and then all of a sudden, you could hear it. It was like a crescendo at the end. Fuck your brand. Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. There were 15,000 of us K-Staters outside Faurot Field in Columbia last September. There were a bunch of nobodies. Hey, I'm with you. I'm there, and that's the whole thing. Is that as far as it goes with Missouri, if you really believe in Mizzou, I'm sorry for you. I really am, because these guys, yes, they have a manageable schedule again. There's also some landmines for them. I can see them losing to A&M long before they ever get to Oklahoma. They're not going to beat Oklahoma. I can tell you that.
Look, Jason, we talking about Mizzou. We talking about all these people and stuff like that. Who I have beef with is he's on this panel, Ty Hayes. Excuse me. The reason why I have beef with this guy is because I just get tired of him being friendly with the Texas fans, knowing that secondary is ass, not trash. They're ass. Drop the T and the R, drop the H, add an S.
I've talked about the secondary not being
Michael,
good.
And look, as long as Michael Taff is out there and you know that he's going to get on the field, he's a target. He's a target. Stop playing with me, Ty.
I've told you the secondary is not good.
This is the only secondary that you know. When I was at the game, I kept saying it. I said to myself, why? I asked Nick this. I said, how in the blue hell is people talking this noise inside a Texas building about Terrence Brooks getting burnt all the time when everybody was getting burnt? They would play 5 yards off. They would play 10 yards. I didn't give you a cushion. And even when they did press, they would watch the snap count of the quarterback and they would creep back 5 yards and give. And I'm like, what are we doing? And still get beat. And it wasn't like Houston exposed them because everybody said, hey, guess what we can do? Y'all play Madden? Yeah, I play Madden. What you doing there? Oh, we just run crossers all day. They can't stop that. It wasn't rocket science of how to beat Texas. Don't run up the middle. That's what Washington almost got caught up in that game early on, was they kept trying to run at the middle to prove a point. And it was like, dude, run to the edge and throw the fucking ball. Like, nobody's gonna stop you. What are we doing? But no, I don't think Texas is going to be bad in the SEC. I'm an OU fan. Everybody knows I hate them. My channel is a troll of them. But what I do have to say is simply this. I think that they're replacing a lot, especially on defense. I think that you're walking into the SEC with a brand new defense, and somebody's going to hit you in the mouth. And it's not going to be one of those K-State games that you had last year where you barely escaped. Now, granted, you had Malik Murphy in there. The problem is that, man, SEC is different because outside of Vanderbilt, let's just be real, outside of Vanderbilt and maybe Mississippi State this year, I don't know, you're not going to be able to get away with stuff like that. I just think that's where the SEC, that SEC bias kind of kicks in. But no, Ty, I'm just like, come on, man. You know that secondary is bad. You know that secondary is horrendous. It's bad. And nobody's talking about that.
I talk about it all the time.
Nobody's talking about that.
What do you mean?
No, hey Jimmy, it's because you're on. I think you're coming from Ty's channel or
yeah,
Brenski's
Jimmy makes it his life mission to make me break while I'm on stream, breaking laughing. And that's his sole mission, and he's very successful at achieving that mission multiple times over a stream.
Yeah. Okay, Chris talking facts. Yes, he is. Yeah, it's got Redmayne pretty pissy. It's pretty funny. I'm liking it. Yep. Ty needs to rant. Go rant, Ty. What you got on your rant, man?
I don't really have anything to rant about.
The NCAA, you know, Ty's.
Yeah, but I've ranted. I ranted about the NCAA for an hour this morning.
She said, "Hey, because
you know me. You give me the opportunity to rant about the NCAA, I'm going to do it."
Look, I'm gonna go back to that earlier point that I made. I still think that they won, but they actually lost, but they won at the same time. NCAA is absolutely nobody respects them, nobody cares. I didn't bat an eye at this. Great, schools can pay players directly. I think that this is still a day late and $1 short. Why? Because not only were teams doing this regardless, colleges doing this regardless for years. You just went through this with Jimbo and Texas A&M. Come on, man. Let's be real. Like, it's not like this wasn't happening. They're just now after the fact. The biggest win in all of this, honestly, outside of the NCAA getting the monkey off their back, is that these players get a back pay. I mean, that's really the only benefit of this. Outside of that, there's nothing that is really going to help or be instrumental in going forward in college football. It's really going to boil down to, what can you do for me in NIL, and 2, can you get me to the league? Outside of that, still the same criteria.
Trying to pass legal muster in terms of antitrust, this is a big step if they can do it right. Yeah. And then when you do that right, like that's why we can't have a one-time transfer rule, because the judge in West Virginia put that temporary injunction and the NCAA bowed down. But Chris, the reason why, like, to me, it's a win for the NCAA, but at the same time, like, I have no faith. It's because it's the NCAA. It's like they're gonna screw this up anyways. So like, you have provided them an outlet to try and start walking back and making the right decisions, but they could have done this a decade ago. So like, why? Listen, NCAA, I appealed to your reason earlier. Now I'm going to appeal to your greed. Pay me less than you pay some of these old senile lobotomites. I can be wrong 3/4 of the time, but that's still better than what you're batting right now. I can make a lot of money. Y'all can continue making a lot of money, and we can sail off into the sunset together. Isn't that nice? Hire me.
What Florida man chicken? What are you talking about?
And if you hire me, NCAA, you don't have to listen to me rant about you anymore. I'm coming at your neck.
We trying to dominate. You know, we didn't come to win. We trying to dominate. NCAA, just hire us. We should be a PR firm for them. We should tell them, don't do that. No.
Yeah, just did you see that? I don't know which part it's at. I'm gonna have to send this to y'all. But there's a clip from Drewski's series where he's getting he's going across the nation finding all the people, and one of the guys is like, I have all my eggs in one basket, and the advisor's like, first off, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. And then the guy goes, first off, I'm a rapper. Second off, I'm a family man. And then third, I is my Lord and Savior. And the guy who's like, don't do that goes, it's the clip is hysterical. I gotta send y'all this.
I see that. That is funny.
Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Who just said that? Somebody just said that the mullet's gonna have the best season. Mullet Boy is going to have his best season. Redmayne, it's bad enough that you're a Texas fan, but then you're gonna come in here with that Okie Light shit too. No. Here's the deal about that.
No. Mullet Boy is Quinn, bro. that's my thing. It has Ty. Ty knows. I didn't call
Quinn.
I didn't call Quinn. I didn't call Quinn by his first name for the first for like.
I didn't know that he knew his name.
It was Mullet Boy. That's what it was.
Yeah,
he came in, it was Mullet Boy.
He got clean cut last year, and he better have his best damn year. He better.
When Quinn Ewers,
a lot of good things got to happen for Texas to win. That's all I know. You got to replace Bo Davis. You got to replace first two round freaking defensive linemen, your best linebacker. That shitty ass secondary was already shitty, and I know you got one guy to come in there, Makuba. Good luck. You're not going to have any. And then all the talent that caught passes from Quinn that took him a year to get used to. Plus Brooks.
Jason,
he thinks they lose 4 games.
Jason, don't make this about us. Let's make this
the
about
brand has finally returned. Your brand.
Let's make this about them. Brenski up there sweat. Look at him. He's sweating bullets. He chewing right now. He nervous because he know Auburn coming for that ass this year. Hugh Freeze ain't leaving without them pink slips. You know what I'm saying?
If Peyton throwing the football, I promise you, I'm not worried about a thing.
Wait, Peyton Thorne.
That is true. Peyton Thorne.
That is my.
He's not going to throw though. He's going to be running the football, bro. You saw what he did last year to y'all. You saw what he did to y'all on the ground.
Yeah. That was it mostly in the first half. But we know what that end result was. When they come to T-Town, man, it's different.
It took a miracle.
You know the last time they beat us in. You know the last time they beat us in T-Town.
Tell us.
I was a sophomore in college.
So that would have been when
12 years ago?
Yeah. It would have had to have been when
it's an Iron Bowl I would not talk about. You don't understand, man. I hated Cam so bad.
Cam Newton.
Oh, wow.
I hated Cam so bad. Me as a 32-year-old man talking to my 19-year-old self. Hey, man, Cam is not all that bad, man. We like Cam now. I would have told myself, go F myself. I really hated Cam, man. I was quiet for a whole week off that game, how we gave up that lead.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. I was in every group chat. I was tweeting my ass off, hoping I could get a rise out of Ty. Ty remained as calm as he possibly could during those games last year. So I already knew it was hell for Ty on some of them. It was, whew.
Man, the game. I knew it was. You just, as Alabama fans, I know Ty knows this. When you start seeing certain plays, like when them 2 touchdowns got called back, I was like, okay, it's about to be one of those days. It's about to be one of those days. I'm just like, man, I just
like
gotta.
when Tennessee got 5 downs because the refs forgot what down it was.
Oh my God, bro.
I was like, what the shit is this?
Yeah, man. I can't stand that shit, man. That was like, man, when they call them touchdowns back, bro, you just gotta. Y'all don't understand what Jordan Hare is, man. They have that lucky rabbit's foot in that stadium just for us. And they just give us hell, man. I was surprised we won last year. Shout out to Isaiah, but
Coach Smook.
You mean whenever shout out my guy. You mean whenever Jalen Milroe threw the ball to himself? It was the most incredible play I've ever seen. Y'all don't understand. Jalen Milroe backs up. 3-man rush. I'm thinking, what the hell is Freeze doing? But sure, I'll take it. Jalen Milroe throws the ball, sprints downfield, gets open, and then catches his own pass for the touchdown. Poetic.
Beautiful.
Poetic. That's how it happened. Don't look at it.
Does Milroe take the next step and
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So here
go ahead,
Brenski.
No, you go ahead.
No. I insist.
No, man. You would tell it much better than me, my brother.
That's not possible.
That is.
Cam was going to Oklahoma till Landry Jones went off in the bowl game. I do remember that as well. I do remember hearing about that as well. Because he went to Blinn, right? To Blinn JUCO, and I think this was I think Neilio had something about it up here that they wanted to talk money at K-State, and Coach Snyder put him back on the fucking plane. He said, "Now that was a bad move by Coach Snyder.
Y'all paid up. Y'all still paying for it. Y'all still paying for it to this day."
Especially with the offset. Hey, listen, I think that what you lost when Saban, you gained in offensive know-how. You don't have to worry about going and getting offensive coordinators and stuff like that at Alabama. You know who you're going to bring in, and but the question is do they take a big step back on defense or not? That's the question you got to have. And I think that's the question that you're going to be answering this year. You know, I think that I'm not looking past freaking Alabama. They got one of the best talent rosters still, even though they lost all those players. So I don't know how you would.
I'm just worried about the defense for y'all.
That's what I was just saying. That's the question. It's can they do that, right?
Y'all, here's the only thing. I'm like, okay. Does he put a focus on that? And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like it wasn't a focus at Washington, but
right. Oh yeah, bro. I think
that's why he hired Kane Womack.
I was gonna say Washington felt like it was Washington's defense always felt like a dam that was like, hey, if you could get it to crack, it'll crumble.
So the defensive staff, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, it's a Saban defense, right? Like it is what it is, but. What I will say is that you look at the hires he made, Kane Womack, who runs, everyone says it's a 4-2-5, and yes, but it's a 3-4 nickel is what it is, right? Whenever he was at Indiana, they led the nation in turnovers and led the nation in red zone efficiency. So it's a good defense. He just coached Chris at South Alabama, and they beat the hell out of Oklahoma State this past year.
Yeah, pedestrian. No, and I get that. I guess here's what always goes through my mind, right? Is that I felt like Washington's defense, and don't get me wrong, I guess different DC, whatever case may be. But I always felt like with that scheme or with what Washington was doing under DeBoer on defense, I always felt like it was just, it it was more than bend, don't break. It was just, hey, get us there, get us to the last 2 minutes of the game. We'll take you home, right? And they always had some interesting concepts, some interesting things they wanted to do, but I just always felt like Washington had a bunch of old guys, right? They had a little bit of like a couple of young guys, but they had a bunch of like savvy vets, like super seniors that were out there, right? But what happens now that you come here, you just have all this plethora of talent that Saban has managed to, basically, let's be real, Saban kept a lot of that talent for you. Outside of Caleb Downs, you're still returning a lot of guys. I think that what is the kid? Correct me if I'm wrong. Malachi Moore.
Oh yeah.
I think people are not even really talking about that. I think it was great for him to return. I thought
major.
He had a chance. He had a chance to be a third round. I think I saw his draft stock being that high.
He's not going no third round. He's definitely going to go higher in the draft. I don't even know where folks getting this from.
Yeah,
but he's going to show out, man.
Yeah, I think you and Dominique. I think the only thing that I think that sucks for him is that he doesn't get to play for Saban. That was the biggest thing for me because I was like, because for the longest, I would always tell my uncle, I was like, hey man, that's a kid I would look at, but my uncle was like, hey, if he ever gets into the portal, it's gonna be Michigan and Bama once again. And what was it? Michigan and Bama once again. But he was killing his draft stock up there. He chose the homies over the league. To be honest with you, to go over there to USC, like that was the dumbest decision ever to stay home and go.
Didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, he was killing his draft stock.
Dante Williams is a hell of a recruiter, man. Like, listen, that's why I'm interested in Georgia's recruiting in the secondary because, like, and we're going to learn a lot about Dante Williams, but at the same time, he's a hell of a recruiter. That's what I can give him. Like, that guy got a lot of big wins for USC out there. And then he had to succumb to the Alex Grinch show out there, which, hey, but like, if you look, so they got Womack as DC, and then you got, you also have Colin Hitchler, who he coached that Cincinnati secondary whenever they were in the playoffs. So like, that's a really good hire right there. Mo Linguist was the Dallas Cowboys cornerback coach for a while. Then he went over to Buffalo as the head coach. So interesting defensive staff, really interesting defensive staff.
But they can make their names. I'm about to say I'm not concerned about them. I'm not concerned about them building the defense in the SEC because at least for Alabama, because this is the SEC.
Yeah,
the pressure is going to be on him to make sure that defense is right.
Yeah, I mean, but Saban, it's not one of those things where, as Ty would put it, he's not inheriting the sins of the father with this one. He's inheriting a Lamborghini with the wheels on. With the wheels on.
And I mean, he inherited the sins of the father and went 28-3 at Washington. They were 4.
Kalen DeBoer, inherited a 4-8 team and went 28-3, beating Sark twice.
3 times
Dan
over
Lanning
Lanning.
3 times and twice.
Somebody just asked what we think of Oregon. That's what I would say. As soon as they can win a game that matters, which we haven't really seen from them yet. I don't understand all these Dan Lanning a top 3 guy when he hasn't really done anything yet.
Here's a question for you guys before I have to jump off.
I was fixing to say I know you got.
Since we're talking about this, I'll just ask the question. Now we know what happened to Michigan, right? And this is a Big Ten question. Is Oregon now Ohio State's biggest competition in the Big Ten? My uncle brought that point up to me. He was like, "Look, nobody's worried about Penn State and the rest of those girls." Because here's how this conversation got started. We got into a little bit of a argument about Ryan Day. Because I said if Ryan Day left Ohio State, who do you go get? I said the only reason why he has any of this pressure on him right now is because of, the Michigan losses. And my uncle's like, dude, you're in the Big Ten. You're playing nobody except for Penn State and who else? Obviously Michigan each year. He was like, really, it's just you and Michigan. So you should go 11-1, 12-0. He said, he doesn't think that Ryan Day's a great coach, right? I think Ryan Day's
one on third base. I mean, I think when you're the guy that goes from Ohio State beating Michigan year after year, they were about to fire Harbaugh over it. And you go to the guy that's lost 3 in a row now, and Michigan won the Natty, and you haven't gotten it done. I think that if they're to lose to Michigan this year and they don't win the national championship, they have to fire him, don't they?
Well, yeah. Well, but that's the question. And then also the 1A is the question is Oregon their biggest competition? Because we know what Michigan has pretty much been gutted to a point. I don't think anybody's scared of Penn State, and I don't think anybody's scared of Lincoln.
Why you would be? Yeah. No, go ahead.
I think that when you look at this, here's what we don't like, and I know we remember it, but we didn't talk about it.
I wanted to bring this up. Go ahead.
They didn't lose to Harbaugh this year. He lost to Sharon Moore.
To Sharon Moore. Yep.
And that's the crazy thing, guys. I don't think there's a coach out there that has more pressure.
So did Franklin.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's no comparing the equity and talent between Ohio State and Penn State, right? Like Ohio State's one of the most talented rosters in the nation.
Right.
And you had Michigan whenever they had all the distractions.
To be honest with you, though, if you're looking at the recruiting rankings, there's no comparing the talent at Michigan either. If you're looking at the recruiting rankings over the last 4 or 5 years, it's not close.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
They develop better. That's why they're winning. But go ahead, finish your point.
Well, they also had a bunch of, you're not going to see a team like that again because you had the COVID years, right? You had a bunch of super seniors all over that team. And they did satisfy the blue chip ratio. So as long as you can satisfy that in theory, you'll be fine. There's only been 2 teams during the college football playoff era win a playoff game without satisfying the blue chip ratio. Ironically, Sonny Dykes on TCU and Kalen DeBoer at Washington this past year. Only 2 teams to have ever won a playoff game without satisfying the blue chip ratio. But I don't think there's a coach in the nation that has as much pressure on him as Ryan Day.
I don't think so either. I think that and especially since they just, the athletic director from Texas A&M is now the AD there. He didn't hire Ryan Day. He has no allegiance to this guy. None.
Mm-hmm.
The blue chip ratio, Kyle, is whenever you are recruiting or assembling a roster, there's this theory out there that states you can make a college football playoff game and in turn compete for a national championship so long as your roster is comprised of over 50% blue chips. And what a blue chip is for these recruiting services, it's 4-star and up. So 4 and 5 stars. There have only, since the inception of the college football playoffs, we've had 40 games, right? Well, 40 teams make it. And there's only been 5 teams that don't satisfy the blue chip ratio make the playoffs. Only 2 of them have won a playoff game, and that's TCU and Washington. So it just shows you got to be able to assemble the talent, but you have got to be able to develop. You have got to be able to evaluate, right? It's a super interesting word, or it's a super interesting theory. And I love diving into it. Really interesting.
Well, actually, and there's a couple of great videos out there where they've done a lot of studies on that stuff. Now, what I would tell you though is when it comes to Michigan, as much as I just said that, I would tell you that when you look at it, I think that stars don't mean anything. What I look at more than anything else is what I know that stars mean something, but what means more is who the hell is giving offers to these kids. Who do they have offers from? If they have offers from the big boys, then I believe in what you're saying about a certain player. Some players, you can't tell. And offensive linemen are the hardest guys for them to actually be correct on. That's an absolute. That's a real metric that's real. Bottom line is that's the hardest thing. That and linebacker is the toughest thing for them to get correct, right? But I still think, you really can't judge a recruiting class until 3 or 4 years down the line because of the fact of, it's just some guys work out, some guys don't. But you definitely have to get the Jimmys and Joes. I don't think that there's any two ways around that. Yeah, Jimmy, you got it right. But Billy Napier, he's asking because I guess this is in response to you saying nobody's on the hot seat like Ryan Day. I don't know that Billy's really that much on the hot seat.
I got to see his buyout again. I don't think his buyout is anything crazy, but
I don't think it's a buyout thing. I think that it's a matter of DJ Lagway is going to keep him in town.
And to add on to that, if they fire him, the person that inherits that mess is now doing a rebuild, and they have, because you remember the way these schedules are lined up, you're doing your home and homes.
Yeah.
So 2025 Florida schedule is just as messed up as the 2024s. So you'd be firing him into a terrible start and do a rebuild, right? So, and the other thing, Jason, that's interesting is Billy Napier didn't do what Coach Prime did or Brent Venables did.
That's
walk
correct.
in and say, let's rebuild now. He took what he had, did 1 year, and then after 1 year said, okay, now we rebuild. I wonder if that buys him an extra year. I don't know, but it's often something I've thought.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that Brent Venables did what Dion did, but
no, but you get my point, right? Where it's like I come in and I'm attacking the transfer portal. I'm attacking this rebuild so that I can attempt to get a head start.
I mean, I think that there's two extremes to the side. You've got Dabo on one end that refuses to do anything.
No, he got a bunch of transfers. All the guys out of high school are transfers.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the biggest bunch of BS I've ever heard. But I do think, and then of course you got Coach Prime that's doing it a whole different way. Oh man, I meant to like punch him out of here too. My bad there, Chris. Oh, you need to get?
Yeah, man, I'm about to go. I wake up early.
Okay, yeah. Tell everybody how to find you.
Hey, everybody, go to Horns Down Podcast on YouTube, at the Horns Pod on Twitter. Then also, you can find me at Chris with an _K. That's KCHRIS with a _K on Twitter. A lot of great stuff or whatever. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Not only for my channel, everybody's channel, every creator that's been on this panel tonight. Great conversation as always. You got me up late, Jason, but I had to pull out one for you because I ain't been on here in a second. So that means I'm out. Deuces. Over my 40.
Check it.
He needs to stop that. He must be talking about against y'all when y'all go down there.
All right, Hacker Music, he said, I don't think linebacker is hard to evaluate at all. QB is the hardest, O-line is the second hardest, and that's not correct. According to the data, linebacker is absolutely, it's 1 and 2, but it's O-line linebacker. That's the data that they don't get right. Out of all the 5 stars and all that kind of stuff, that the 5-star offensive linemen, less of them end up going in the first round or at all in the draft than any other position. Number 2 is linebacker. Then it'd be quarterback. Quarterback, generally, they're going to go at some point. So they don't really have that. If you're a 5-star talent, you're going to probably get a shot, right? Look at even like you kind of talk about Spencer Rattler. I know he did somewhat okay at South Carolina, but he was, they were talking about him as a first-round pick when he won the Cotton Bowl over Florida. And, that's just not what he is. But because he was a 5-star, because he's got a big arm, he's still going to get an opportunity there. Devin Leary, or, who was the guy from 2 years ago at Kentucky? Not Devin Leary, but the guy before him. And he almost made it into the first round. Some of these guys, they're going to get shots. That's the thing. And, I mean, I don't know how you bottom line is it is hard to identify those guys. It is hard. It's in the one that they get least correct. So Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ty.
and if I could answer Ryan right quick, and then Brenski, I want to pass it to you because I want to hear what your evaluation on why Milrose is going to be better under this staff. But Ryan saying in this new playoff era of football, you won't simply fire a coach for losing 4 games. I mean, who are you going to get that's better? Plus, you're going to lose all your recruits. So I agree with a lot you're saying here, but here's the thing. Ohio State is one of those places. It'd be like it if Alabama, Kalen DeBoer was winning a bunch of games, getting his butt kicked in big games like the playoffs, and losing to Auburn 4 years in a row. By the way, Auburn has a bunch of investigations going on.
Right. And I'm not even saying that he's – I think that he was born on third base, and I think that he's a better coach than – but I think he's a better coach than they probably get there, right? I mean, I don't know who you go get. That's better.
I think he's a really solid coach, but it's like
right.
At Ohio State, you're there to win games. You're there to beat your rival. They don't take kindly to losing to Michigan so many times in a row, and then Michigan wins the Natty. And by the way, it'd be like if Auburn was beating Alabama and then they were under investigations and the head coach wasn't there, and you lose to the guy that's like the interim head coach. And then it's like, oh, so we can't, it's not even a Harbaugh thing. Like we're just getting out coached.
Pushed around. I think that they gotten soft over there a little bit, because when you think about when Urban was there, they were winning with defense still. I mean, they had good offenses because Urban Meyer always has good offenses, but what did he never not have? In his career, whether it was at Florida, Utah, or Ohio State, they had defenses that would kick your ass. Period. And I know that they've kind of flipped that around with who they got there now, going and changing up the defensive coordinator as far as defense is concerned, because I think they do have one of the better defenses in the country. This is another reason that it's not okay for you to lose to Michigan again. Now, I don't know what I think about Will Howard, and I don't know if the young guys are ready. Is Devin Neal the guy? They started a pretty crappy quarterback over him last year.
Yeah. Brenski, talk to me about why Milrose is going to be better. I gotta hear.
That's the question I gotta hear from you guys. Is he gonna throw the ball, or are they gonna try to make it around him to run more?
No, he's gonna definitely be a better passer this year, especially with his release, and it's showing with him being under Kellen DeBoer. Currently, he's at Jordan Palmer's QB camp, and from what I'm seeing, that release is totally different from last year. Look like he's going to make quick decisions this coming season, and having a better center is going to help 1,000 times. You're going to be able to read the defense a lot better. Like Ty said, man, it's really, really hard when you got to keep going down trying to grab a football and then trying to process a defense. So I believe this is his year. I believe it's going to be with the offensive line that's coming back. It's a lot of the guys that's coming back with Caden Proctor, and then I'm trying to see Robert's going to definitely be big time, man. Just everybody's still intact for the most part. They're going to be gelling a whole lot better this year. So it's a lot of things that's going to go his way this year. I don't have no problem with the offense this year.
I don't know who you're a fan of, Ryan, but this is not true. Because if you're Alabama or Georgia or Oklahoma, it matters to win a conference title. It matters. And it matters to beat your rival. It doesn't just making the playoffs. And especially, I would argue that if he loses to Michigan, he better win the Natty. That's his only saving grace, is to win the whole damn
thing. That is it. It's virtually impossible. If he loses to Michigan this year,
yep.
Oh my God, he has to win the national championship.
Yeah, and I mean, getting close to Georgia don't mean shit. And the fact that you've had Ohio State fans that were like, we almost beat Georgia. Who fucking cares?
Nobody.
You had CJ Stroud, and you should have. If you're gonna, you can't almost do nothing and lose to Michigan. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, and especially if you're spending all this money in NIL for a team, right? Like, you're right. Maybe rivalries don't mean what they once did because you can still get into the playoffs. Like, I don't think that it's meaningless, but I will buy that maybe it's diminished by 3%, right? Then the pressure has also
with the damn boosters. It's not. Come on.
Well, then the pressure has just kind of switched, right? To where it's like, well, now since you have all this money on the team, now you have the pressure to win. And to Brenski's point about Jalen Milroe, before I hop out of here, he had Bill O'Brien, who straight up refused to coach him, Jason. I don't know if you've ever heard about that. Bill O'Brien was like, I don't think you're a quarterback. And then Tommy Rees, who Tommy Rees, I'm not here to slander. I think Tommy Rees tried. Like, that was, I didn't love the offense, but Tommy Rees tried. Tommy Rees is 32, 33 years old, had to come to Alabama, abandon his Notre Dame offense, learn the Alabama offense, and he's never worked with a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. Now you have Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan. Granted, Nick Sheridan was the guy who developed Michael Penix with Kalen DeBoer. This is the best staff Alabama has had from an offensive side since 2020, whenever they had Steve Sarkisian and A.J. Milwee working with quarterbacks. He is the tight ends coach of the Cleveland Browns, if I'm not mistaken, James.
Who? Bill O'Brien?
No, Tommy Rees.
No, I thought he went to Georgia.
Tommy Rees? No, I think he's the tight ends coach with the Cleveland Browns.
He's with the Browns.
Okay. I thought he went to Georgia for some reason. But yeah. Yeah, it was probably when they were just trying to recruit, trying to get some recruits, thinking he was going to get Milroe. I don't know, man. I think that, I liked him. I liked him there. And I agree with you. I think that offensively, you're probably about to have a revolution on offense. It's just going to be real deal there when it comes to that. Now, again, I think the question is what happens on defense. And then that's a fair question to ask. But it's not like Saban's going away completely and won't help you get I think that recruiting, they probably stay right on track. I think all these questions about whether or not Kalen DeBoer can recruit the South, I think that's overblown. I heard Coach Smook talking about it on his morning show the last couple of days. It's like, he's
already in the top 10.
Absolutely. They're already doing it. Now, do you expect them to be number one right away? Maybe, maybe not. But no. You shouldn't expect that because
top 5 will do it.
But yeah, listen, really all you have to have is top 10 means that you've got probably at least a 5-star and a bunch of 4s. So I think that, this is the time of year when you're going to start seeing some of these things happen, that those chips are going to start falling. It's always late June, July, and so on, right? That's when they start making their bread. So it is what it is. Ty, you want to let everybody know how to find you? We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, and then we'll go to Brenski, do the same.
Yeah, we're gonna run a live stream in the morning over at Around the Table Sports. Coach Sean gonna hop over there. I think Coach Jake gonna hop over there,
nice.
And hopefully we get an appearance from Jance. Y'all know Jance and I've been streaming together since 2021. That was Chris and Jance were my 2 partners in crime, right?
Where's he been, man? I ain't seen him in a while.
Jance is all over the place, man. That's
my guy right there, man.
Yeah,
I like Jance too.
He's all over the place. So looking forward to that. You can also find me June 13th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm doing a stream for Bleacher Report on the SEC channel for Bleacher Report, talking about early favorites to win the SEC and just talking SEC football.
Awesome. Brenski, tell everybody how to find you as well, please. You can also find these guys in the description of this video as well. You can just go and tap that button right there, but that's one way to find them.
Oh, they can just find me at the Sharpe Shooters Podcast, man.
Subscribe.
Oh, yes. Please subscribe. We almost at 500. Appreciate everybody that subscribed tonight. Thank you. Definitely appreciate it. Always dropping every Wednesday, talking about everything, but about to start talking about college football more because I love it. And the season about to kick off. SEC Media Days coming up real soon. Just dropped a video today with On 3, Philip Duke. Shout out to him.
Absolutely.
Big time interview. Appreciate you guys for pubbing that for me. And just come to the channel. We got more interviews. I'm just trying to surprise the guys. I wanted to tell them, but I was like, let me just drop it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So it's just
great stuff. We love it.
Yeah.
We love it. As I let you guys off, make sure that you stay logged in so it'll download your video real quick. But guys, we appreciate everybody coming in here. We had a big group of people in here tonight. Hope we've gotten likes from everybody. That's a wipe your feet moment, man. Make sure you get in here. Hit that like button on all the streams that were out there. We'd appreciate that. Listen, for the new folks that have been in here, Steven Scuba, Jimmy Lee Baker, thanks for coming in, and all you guys that have come in on Ty's show. I hope you guys think about subscribing to these other channels as well. Like I said, Brenski's getting close to 500. We need to get him there. We'd all look forward to having you part of our communities as well. To the Hall of Fame Mafia that was in here, as always, thank you guys for showing up and showing your support for the program. Love it. Guys, you guys, thank you, Brenski, Ty, two of the best in the business out here, man. It was a good talk tonight, as always. We appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us, man.
Anything for you, my brother. Anything. Especially you too, Ty. Definitely appreciate y'all, brother.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, fellas. Appreciate you coming in. Folks, we'll see you on the next one.